a fella popping bottles up here on the G.
GNCC Racing! Second, and row number 1, we off and rolling at our Specialized General GNCC.
Almost a minute off the pace, doesn't matter. 650 checks in. Rachel Archer in control. Where is Becca Sheets? Sure enough, now only 15 seconds back from Rachel Archer.
It's always like this, I know
White flag drops. Checkered flag flies. The number 650 Am Pro Yamaha of Rachel Archer snags win number 2 of the season. Taking it, got it. There you go. Make some noise one more time. Your overall winner. Doing the best job stringing. Finishing a like
if I was some kind of if only I was a
With it being dry, I think that it's going to be a lot faster than it was last time.
So mistakes, it's not happening again.
No, that's not happening. I will guard my inside here for the last 3 corners at least.
And row number 1, the XC1 Pro will be off and rolling at the Specialized General GNCC. Rounding the first turn, the number 3, Jordan Ashburn, will cross the stripe first. It is hot on his heels, the 212 of Ricky Russell.
So Stu Baylor checks in officially. 2 laps completed, 26 minutes, 18 seconds.
That is a fast lap time for this track.
And he took pit stop.
Yeah.
Anybody out there who thinks Josh Strang is in the twilight of his career, doesn't care where he finishes. Boy, you're dead wrong. I've not seen the man that frustrated in my 5 years of calling races.
That I forgot what I was leaving. I couldn't tell you what road I was on already. I was only dreaming. Don't you wanna know? Don't you wanna know that you're on the right track? That you're on the right road? You say, don't you wanna know? Don't you wanna know that you will be fine if you just keep moving on and don't look back?
There's only a handful of turns left to go, and Stu Baylor will be looking eye to eye with Ricky Towery, and the win in Georgia, win number 1 for Stu Baylor in 2021.
Don't you wanna know? Don't you wanna
They're feeding the beast right now.
They are feeding the beast. Stu Baylor taking the win. Hey man, we forgot there's other people back there too.
Don't you wanna know that it will be fine if you just keep moving on and don't look back?
I love it. Popping bottles on the GNCC Pro. Cheers. You can run, but you can't hide. Get yourself. Right. All it takes is that .1. Popping bottles on the GNCC podium. Johnny Gerard. See if he can make it 3 in a row here in a couple of weeks.
It's good that Grant got a win. It's good to see Grant leading the championship for the brief time until I catch up. And
So you listen to music a lot before the race. What are you listening to?
oh my,
What's the pump
opera?
Beethoven.
No, I've got like, I don't know, 2 or 3 songs, like Headstrong, Trap, like stuff that just, hey, that some of you guys remember, some of you don't. It was in one of the original MX vs. ATV games, and it's just like, you hear that song, you're ready to go. I don't want anybody to beat me today. I don't know, who do I want to talk to? I just have to say Ben Kelly. I don't want to get beat by old Ken Belly. Not today. Not the rest of the year.
Never again, ever.
Never again, ever.
Perfect. Good luck today.
Thanks, man.
The sands of Camp Coker patiently awaited the return of the GNCC to these iconic soils of the Southeast. 2021 brings one of the most exciting opens to a new race season in quite some time. 3 races, 3 different winners, and 3 extremely exciting battles have left race fans wanting more. With preseason entries to championship hopeful Stu Baylor, the door was left wide open. Little brother Grizzly Grant Baylor snagged the round 1 win, while Ben Kelly bounced back in Florida for the round 2 win. Round 3 action at Aonia Pass in Georgia saw Stu Baylor getting redemption on not only the season that nearly got away, but also the race that did get away just 1 year before, establishing total dominance, leading us to wonder, will anyone have what it takes to stop Stu Baylor today? Will we see a 4th winner or continued control by Stu Baylor? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live is next. Are you ready to go GNCC Racing? Hello and welcome to America's premier off-road racing championship, the 2021 GNCC Series, presented by Specialized and AMA National Championship. I'm Rodney Tomlin, along today with Mikey Waynes and Johnny Gallagher, as we'll be bringing you the race call of the 2-wheel action here from the sands of Society Hill, South Carolina, and Camp Coker. This is round number 4 of the GNCC Series. We call this the FMF Camp Coker Bullet GNCC. And of course, Camp Coker is a very iconic name in the world of motorcycle racing. hosting many motocross races over the past years with young riders and legends like Ricky Carmichael, Larry Ward, James Stewart, and so many more cutting their teeth here in the sands of Society Hill. Today, it's all about off-road racing action, and Stu Baylor comes into this one with a hot head and a lot of momentum in hopes of winning his second GNCC race in a row, and in hopes of possibly securing some sort of hope in winning the 2021 National Championship. Of course, with riders like Ben Kelly, his brother Grant Baylor, and so many more that are also doing well here in the 2021 season. 3 different races, 3 different race winners. It's very exciting. Conditions are prime today as we get set to roll into this 4th round of racing. The big question is, what's this course shaping up like? Let's check in with Junior Trail Boss and co-course designer for our Yamaha track description, Jared Bolton.
Thanks, guys. Oh, man, is it awesome to be back here at Camp Coker. This is a beautiful place for a motorcycle and ATV race, and that's why we keep coming back here. Not only is the facility itself awesome, but man, the track is absolutely phenomenal. And this year, we've actually added in some new trails. The Mooreys, who own the property, they actually acquired about 200 additional acres, added onto the property here, and we've added in just under 3 miles of trail on that new property. It's going to be a little tighter. We cut out a little bit of it for the quads, but the bikes are running it. It'll be basically like single track all the way around it. So the guys that are really, really good in that tight stuff, they've got an advantage this weekend. It's a little bit slower, a little bit tighter than this track's been in the past. Got to make things pretty interesting. I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. And boy, is this just a phenomenal race course. Little something for everyone. And yeah, I know I say that every week. But not only we got that tight stuff I mentioned, but there's some pretty fast trail out there as well. We do have a couple of fast field sections. Truly something for everyone here at Camp Coker.
Well, thanks a lot, Jared. And it looks like we've got another great race on tap coming up. It's the start of the 2021 FMF Camp Coker Bullet GNCC. Stick around. We'll be right back on GNCC Live.
Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Retailer. Distributor. Manufacturer. Product developer. Parts tester. This is what we do. But who we are is something much simpler. We're riders. Like you. 100% employee owned and operated. A company built by riders, entirely for riders. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
Wide web and across the globe on RacerTV.com as the stage is set today. The prayer has been said, and one final order of business before our introduction get underway here today, and that is, of course, our national anthem. So if you would, ladies and gentlemen, join with me. Remove those caps, cross those hearts. Please join in standing and singing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
There it is, folks. And the stage is about to be set for one final time here at Camp Coker in Society Hill, South Carolina, as we get set to meet our starting lineup for today's FMF Camp Coker Bullet GNCC. Joining us here today, of course, from the North Carolina Treasury Department, of course, Mr. Dale Falwell. And Dale, glad to have you out back here as a part of GNCC Racing once again.
Well, thank you, and we look forward to getting GNCC back to North Carolina. And on behalf of South Carolina Treasurer Curtis Loftus, I'm Dale Falwell. The Treasurers really appreciate GNCC Nation and all the viability it brings to our local economies. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. And now, let's meet our starting lineup. Our riders coming to the line today in accordance to points after 3 rounds of GNCC racing. The top off-road riders in the world going to the line today like this. Rolling to the line first aboard the number 530 from Harwinton, Connecticut on an FMF Factory Racing KTM, Ben Kelly. Rolling to the line second today in points aboard the number 314 from Honey Path, South Carolina on a KLM Milwaukee Gas. He won the season opener, Grizzly Grant Baylor. Former GNCC champion from Australia aboard the number 114 on a Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki, the Freight Train, Josh Strang. Rolling to the line today, fourth in points aboard the number 3 from Livingston, Tennessee on the Magna One Motorsports Husqvarna, Jordan Ashburn. Aboard the number 212, fifth in points from Duval, Washington on the Coastal Gas Factory Racing Machine. He's rough, he's rowdy, Ricky Russell. Aboard the number 206 from Winstead, Connecticut on an FMF KTM Factory Racing Machine, Josh Toad. The 2020 Breakout Rider of the Year with 1 win on the season, fresh from that. Aboard the 514 from Hodges, South Carolina on an M-Pro Yamaha, Stu Baylor. 9th in points aboard the 523 from Boonville, North Carolina, also on an M-Pro Yamaha, Lane Michael. The 543 from Chile on the Red Bull MCS Racing Circo, Benjamin Herrera. Riding aboard the 121, hailing from Logan, Ohio on a factory beta machine, Corey Buttrick. And last and not least, welcoming back to the starting line, the Intimidator from North Carolina, Morganton to be exact, on a Rockstar Energy Factory Racing Husqvarna, Trevor Bollinger. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this, the FMF Camp Coker Bullet GNCC. And before the race day gets underway, we must clear the start. So we say it one final time this weekend. DJ Judd, would you please remove the meat? Our Monster Energy Activation Transport now making its way off the starting line as DJ Judd gets the action rolling here today, and we get set to roll into 3 hours of exciting battles. Ricky Towery readying himself up in turn number 1 right now as the stage is set. And the final thing to work through today is that, my friends, nothing but pure racing. Who's got the heart? Who's got the will? Who has the determination to come out on top here at the Camp Cooker Bullet GNCC. Ricky Towery makes his way from around that first turn as he steps to his position and gets set to signal these riders and let them know it's time to go racing in 1 minute. 1 minute, and the green flag will wave here at the Maury Sportsman Preserve and the legendary Camp Coker motocross facility. All eyes bearing down into that first turn now. 340 riders strong out here today as they all look with bated breath, waiting on the next signal from Ricky Towery as he lets these riders know, shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. We are now less than 30 seconds away from going GNCC racing. And as the hush goes across the starting line, I've got to ask you, South Carolina race fans, are you ready to go GNCC racing? Well, I'm going to tell you, you don't sound ready enough. I'm going to ask you one more time, South Carolina, are you ready to go GNCC racing? 10 seconds. And row number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling at the FMF Camp Coker Bullet GNCC. A great start off the start line. Ricky Russell on the inside, but threading the needle. Josh Strang, the freight train. Jordan Ashburn right behind him. Ricky Russell followed by Big Kelly and Josh Choate, our top 5, as they head to turn number 3 now. Down the XC2 250 Pro. Ryder Lafferty, Ben Napko, Cody Barnes, Simon Johnson, Thorne Devlin, Lyndon Snodgrass, Liam Draper, Michael Witkowski, Brendan Poland. 10 seconds. Craig DeLong, Evan Smith, Tegan Temple, Sebastian Taverne, Roy Barbosa, Michael McLean, Vincent Smith, Hunter Neuwirth, Chris Vendetti, and Jonathan Gerard. A great jump off the line there by that 525, better known in GNCC circles as the 361 of Westchester, Pennsylvania's Husqvarna back Tegan Temple, as he takes the early lead in this one. FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class coming up next. Zach Hayes, Jeremy Lallemand, Ben Parsons, Chase Coble, Noah Clark, Michael Pillar, Max Fernandez, Jason Lipscomb, Jake Froman, Dustin Simpson, and Jonathan Johnson in 10 seconds. Great jump once again by Koval on the 318 Low Jack's backed ride. And as they cross the whole shot stripe, it is the 318 in front. The number 1, your defending champion in the class back there, right behind him. Open A class getting set to roll next in 10 seconds. Nathan Rector, Chase Hayes, Will Simon Piper, Dylan Dela Cruz, Evan Earl, Tyler Braniff, Ezra Prine, Dawson Nixon, Zachary Nash, Tyler Soriano, Cameron Sisk, Hunter Cleveland, Tanner Ripple, Kyle McDonald, Trevor Bobman, Paul Patron, Wesley Schmidt, Jacob Barnes, Nathan Wood, Jake Green, Johnny Babbitts, also Kenneth Coleman, and your leader, I believe that was 240, Cameron Sisk from Morganton, North Carolina on a Moose Racing Canada Tires Carbon City backed ride. As we go to the 258, JoJo Cunningham, Dakota DeFore, Braden Nolette, Michael DeLosa, Jonathan McDougall, Neil Inman, Zachary Davidson, Gavin Simon, Benjamin Wright, Bolton Baroth, Alex Luger, also Dalton Seals, Nicholas Cordana. 10 seconds. Gary Greer, also Keith Ginley, Tanner Collins, Daniel Elmore, Logan Kidda, Cole Whitmer, George Kowalowski, Joshua Pats, Matthew Cornish, Hunter Reimer, Tristan Landrum, Trevor Maley, John Gentry, and Kyle Dutton. 199, Zachary Davidson from Iron Station, North Carolina, Factory Husky USA, Dunlop Fly, and Chad Davis, backed riding racer, heading off into the Sandy Wonders of South Carolina with the early lead as we get to the 4-stroke A lights class. Tyler Palmer, Cooper Jones, Cody Meeks, Trevor Getz, Travis Raynaud. 10 seconds. Sam Hall, Max Russ, Alexander Patterson, Matthew Davis, Philip Dagnes, also Russell Smith, Mitchell Olamy, Lucas Holt, Trent David Brady, Bykowski, Gary Inman, Huck Jenkins, Lance Machino, Samuel Hinkle, Davis, Jack Posick, Brennan, Ryder Wicks, Hunter Barron. 104, I believe, Travis Raynaud from Stratford, Missouri on a Yarborough Industries, Marionville Power Sports Fly Racing back KTM. As we go to the 150A class, Toby Cleveland, Alex Metz, Randall Irvin, also Lucas Valabanito, Sean Myers, 10 seconds. Ethan Cox, Hunter Smith, Cole Thorne, Nathan Marr, Blake Kohler, James Skinner, Nathan Delaney, and Blake Yaris. $150A rounding the turn now. The 213, Toby Cleveland from Aaron, New York, Fly Racing, John's Equipment Rental, West Family Racing back right, taking the early lead. Vet A 30+ class, Joe Marsh, Matt Sorge. Also Joshua Webb, Danny Haftel, Joshua Wyatt, Josh Knapp, Lorenzo Sanchez, Joshua Brown, Andrew Smith, Robert Johnson. 10 seconds. Fabian Barada, Aaron Coxon, Colin Goodman, Morgan Green, Kevin Myers, Ryan Inman, James Bauer, Brad Hoffman, Tom Truxell, Matthew White. Morgan Green, a former top youth rider many years ago when I began my tenure as a GNCC announcer. Good to see him back out with us today. The 801, Tom Truxell from Verona, Pennsylvania on a TPS suspension machine, though. Grabbing the early lead in this one as we go to the senior A40+ class. Smiling Frank Messina, Shotgun Sean Rivington, Larry Sylvia, Vinny Tomic, Surly Amancio, Todd Thompson on this one. Brent Belso, Buddy Barnes, Joe Dean, William O'Brien. 10 seconds. Ignacio Laviosa, Harley Anderson, Jeremy Dexter, Darren Darmos, and Jimmy Johnson. Good to see Darren out making it with us. Got some bad news from Darren the other day. We lost a great individual in our sport, Al Chupa, and of course Darren out riding in on his behalf and in his memory here with us today. Junior AB 25+ class coming up. 10 seconds. Grant Marriott, Austin Franklin, Tyler Brutton, Mason Stevens, Jacob Chrisman, Damon Rummel, also Stephen Gerard, Chris Montgomery, Thomas Caldwell, Zach Tussle, Jeremy Houston, Anthony Burbick, Dakota Duran, Taylor Myers, Jesse Kidlow, Charlie Hugel, Curtis Compton, Matt Modick, Nick Cappert, and Andrew Boggs. 4:20 at 9, I believe that was. Chris Montgomery from New Lexington, Ohio on an SPC Racing, Fly Racing JDP suspension machine. 4-stroke B lights coming up next in 10 seconds. Anthony Blackburn, Hayden Schultz, Trevor Golden, Austin Hovatter, Garrett Mundy, Ty Ely, J.T. Wright, Justin Griffin, Levi Self, Levi Ward, Sander Garoni, Clayton Robbins, Max Grant, Leroy Petrie, Forrest Busby, Rayleigh Messer, Brock Belso, Austin Sentinel, Landon Harbin, Bryce Olkire, Thomas Allen, Levi Elliott, also Nicholas Heisler, Caden Sims, and Kyle Greenewicks. 88, Hayden Schultz out of Junction City, Ohio, Yamaha mounted pilot, taking to the early lead in this one as we go to the Vet B class coming up next. 29 riders in this one. Adam Odell, Cody Hosta, Larry Hopper, Ernest Martin. 10 seconds. Daniel Parlier, Dylan Barnhouse, Brian Ruzorkowski, Andrew Lowell, David Smith, Jonathan Gagnon, also Jared Duran Garton, Drew Gorey, Tyler Glick, also Michael Funk, Jason McKenzie, Nick Reich, Sean McKenzie, Gary Neff, Nick Plank, Nathan Dickey, and your early leader is the 366 Brian Tursky out of Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. A lot of those northern Ohioans getting some good starts today as we roll next with Senior B in 10 seconds. Charles Becker, Brent Maynard, Richard Setzer, Philip Lolleman, Adam Naystick, also Ian Troublefield, Felipe Branger, William Hollenbeck, Chad Miller, Steve Young, Dave Youngless, Aldo Nunez, Kenny Webb, also Angel Reyes, Ray Henrik, and Scott Dowland, and your early leader, not sure, 319 maybe. Yeah, Brent Maynard from Genoa, West Virginia, over in Wayne County. They're in that neighborhood anyway. 150 bikes or 150Bs, I should say. Ryan Deal coming up. Hayden Serena, Raiden Greenwicks, Peyton Gwynn, Matthew Hollenbeck. 10 seconds. Alex Setzer, Brandon Farmer, Blaine Barrier, Nick Barrier, Alex Ledford, Aiden Myers, Jay Pittard, Michael Gagnon, also Carter Wendland, Caden Childers, John Williams, Bailey Flynn, Paul Best, Aaron Hess, and David Honowski. Your early leader, 8:07, David Honowski from Manchester, Maryland on the KTM. 250B class, Ethan Dingle, Jonathan McGee, Rodrigo Correa, Dakota Cunningham, Andrew Roman, Ty Hughes, Chandler Taylor. 10 seconds. Dakota Turner, John Fee, Landon Beatty, Adam Moffat, Colton Shields, Tyler Martin, Austin Walls, Austin Metz, Russell Anderson, Timmy McIntyre, Joshua Gannon, Austin Glass, Dylan Turner, Lane Whitmer, Cameron Madison, Samuel Goins, Andrew Feit, also Andrew Inman, Lucas Lasik, and Billy Seglia. Dog, I don't know if that was Dakota or not. Anyway, Dakota Cunningham, unofficially, but Open B coming up next. Might not have been him either. Dylan Fleming, Miles Gafkin, Trenton Matterson, also Briston Havard, Cole Honor, Austin Stamer, Steve Gold, Dylan Douglas, also looking at Craig Oberholzer. 10 seconds. Spencer Payro, John Hawkins, Matthew Harris, Alex Lorber, Landon Rogers, Jesse Carson, Raul Galarza, also Austin Bruni, Jacob Maynard, Ryan Hintz, Ryan Tucker, Michael Horwath, Burt Marsiglia, and James Hardy. Craig Oberholzer, by the way, selling accident insurance. Saw his post on the social media, but I also saw him riding around yesterday with a sign on his back, ask me about accident insurance. So he's out doing double duty this weekend, working and going racing. We got 3 hours of that coming at you straight ahead right here on RacerTV and the Camp Cooker here for the fourth round of America's premier off-road racing championship. Stick around. We got a lot of questions to get answered here today. Will Stu Baylor get back to the winning ways here today? Can Grant Baylor make some things happen? Or will we see Ben Kelly in total domination once again today? Or will someone else step up? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues after this.
Rocky Mountain ATV MC, retailer, distributor, manufacturer, product developer, parts tester. This is what we do. But who we are is something much simpler. We're riders, like you. 100% employee owned and operated, a company built by riders, entirely for riders. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
The directive: advance human performance beyond biological limitation.
Brown's RV Superstore is family-owned and operated and stake their reputation on offering you the finest RVs available in their McBee, South Carolina RV dealership. Brown's RV Superstore carries motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, and toy haulers, and keep a huge inventory of new and used RVs in stock for you to choose from. They offer top dollar for your RV trade-in and help you get the RV financing you need. As a part of the GNCC family, Brown's RV Superstore, in partnership with Vengeance Toy Haulers, offers sponsorship packages for every level of racer with discounts and continued savings on your new toy hauler. Brown's RV Superstore has dedicated themselves to complete customer satisfaction, specializing in providing a positive start to your RV adventure. They look forward to customers coming back to share their tales from the road. Call Brown's RV Superstore today at 877-805-3658 or visit their website at brownsrvsuperstore.com, where family fun begins.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Chematic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Chematic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Chematic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Chematic. Chematic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We changed the industry by formulating the first API-qualified 100% synthetic motor oil. The rest of the market has been trying to follow our lead ever since. But a head start is a head start. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond. Because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees and you're doing 230s and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall I think where I improved the most was my consistency in my recovery.
This RacerTV broadcast is brought to you by Specialized. Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
There you go. Sorry about that, Rodney Tomlin. We're talking all over the top of you. Mikey Wayne's here. This is round number 4 of the 2021 GNCC Racing Series presented by Specialized. An AMA National Championship here for the beautiful FMF Camp Coker Bullet, and sunny, kind of overcast, but I can tell you definitely hot Society Hill, South Carolina. If you guys were watching the picture-in-picture, we saw Stu Baylor out in front, Strang sitting in the number 2 spot, and things are off and rolling. I think to get us started, if you're just tuning in, I think we're going to take a look at the Specialized whole shot recaps for the XC1, XC2, and XC3. Rolling it out. Specialized start recap. So XC1 jockeying for position early. Everybody wants a piece of it. Keeping in mind, Strang actually won this race here last season in a good battle with him and Caleb Russell. Caleb Russell actually went down late in 2020, and Strang ain't able to hang on. Look at that. banging bars. Josh Strang coming out on top, though. The 114 followed closely, I believe, by Jordan Ashburn.
It is.
Okay. Just checking. So, yeah, Strang trying to put some distance on the guys early. Moving. Strang off into the woods. Running up front, we know, as you guys, as we mentioned in the picture-in-picture, Stu Baylor able to get around him into the number 1 spot. More on that in a moment. But first, the XC2. XC2 been a tight one all season long. Hard to not mention Johnny Gerard, who ends up, I think, he's in second for a moment. It was Tegan Temple snagging that whole shot. Keep your eyes on it, though. Johnny Gerard on the gas, able to make the move around the inside here in a second, not giving up. He says, not so fast, Tegan. I want the lead as we head into the woods. Takes him on the inside, and off he rolls. So the XC2, man, what a season it's been for those guys. Mike Wachowski, Craig DeLong, Johnny Gerard all duking it out. We'll see how that one plays out today. And then everybody's favorite sound in the world, the FMF XC3, and slowly becoming a whole shot king, Chase Colville, going out and getting it. Always has that little head turn. He likes to.
He wants to see where the competition's at. He wants to make sure he's getting that whole shot check
on the heels. So Johnny Gallagher in booth with us, along with Tyler Shepardson from On the Pipe podcast. Yeah, we're off and rolling. What do you guys think so far?
Man, you know, I got to tell you, Mike, he was out there this morning and obviously raced this course yesterday, and man, this is a racetrack. It's a test everything you got, man and machine, man or woman in machine, non-gender specific entity in machine, and it's serious. The rain that we got on Friday really kind of put a little bit of sogginess into this kind of clay sand mix that we got here, and the track crew's done an amazing job all weekend. I do have some qualms with them based on the layout, but I'll take that up with them later. They've done a phenomenal job with the track all weekend of making it the best it can be, and it's proving very, very racy. We saw that this morning. We saw that yesterday in the ATV race, in all of yesterday's races, and I think we're going to have I mean, obviously we know who the favorites are, but I think we're going to have a handful of guys up front, just full-blown slugfest for at least the first part of this one today.
I know a lot of folks were talking about, and maybe this was your feeling too, was it was old school GNCC, a lot of single-line track for you guys on the ATV, so, hey, we've got a wide track for the bikes. They can get 2 through there today.
Yeah, that section, that's kind of my qualms. That section from about the 4.5 to the 7 was super one-line for us, and it just got really, really ate out because there was nowhere to go. But hey, you know, adversity is thrown at everybody the same, and everybody had to ride the same track, so it was definitely something very different for us. It's not often that we get stretches that long. Here we see our leaders coming through. There's Lane Michael, Ben Kelly, and there was somebody ahead of him there, and it looks like we've got it looks like those couple guys have broke away. So last we saw them, they were all still kind of together, but we've had quite a few guys here now start to stretch it out front. Looks like maybe 3, maybe 4 guys. I know Jordan Ashburn was up there early. Obviously Josh Strang we saw was up there, so we'll wait until we get an actual shot of all these guys together and see exactly who is where and what the running order is up front. But the XC1 guys on the hammer, and again, it looks like 4 guys at this point have pretty much broken away from the rest of the XC1 field.
Bevo joining us in the booth here from 100%. Obviously, he's decked out in the 100%. What do you think so far?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm really impressed. I've been coming these GNCCs for a long time, and they're just getting more professional and more, incredible today.
Yeah, have you been to Camp Coker facility before?
Yes.
Okay.
Last year, unfortunately, I got grounded because of the
yeah,
virus.
It happens.
But I live in North Myrtle Beach, and I snuck over my own here.
Perfect. We'll take it. Well, glad to have you back. Then Camp Coker's been one of those places, leaders on screen coming through.
Yep, so Stu Baylor, Josh Strang, 1, 2. Looks like those guys have actually broken away from the so it's a 2-rider affair out front. We thought it was 4, and then we've got Josh Toth up in that number 3 spot. Then it's Ashburn, Ben Kelly, and that crew. Lane Michael also should be in there. There's Grant Bailey.
Man.
Yeah, and there is it. So Ben Kelly's actually buried back there a little further than we thought. Sorry, go ahead, boys.
No, that's, hey, leaders on screen, leaders. Well, what I was going to say was you take a look at this year, Camp Coker's been kind of that track for the last few years that we've been coming here where we're like, hey, if you're not here, get here. This needs to be a bucket list race. You got a circle on the schedule. Get out here and check it out. And this year, I think people came in droves. This it is the biggest one I think we've had. So
well, you can definitely see that this is a well taken care groomed facility. There's a lot to do down here. I just told Tim I might bring my family over here to try that Tarzan swing over there.
Let's do it. You and me both. I'm in. If
I'm
you
out.
do it, I'll do it.
There's snakes in that water. I'm out.
There's snakes in every water.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Good shot right here. Leaders on screen. Taking a look from the Yamaha Racing live drone. And kind of single file right there, Johnny, like we were talking about. It's early, though. 3 hours. That's the other thing. It's hot. You guys ran on the ATV side 5 laps. I don't remember. Ooh,
we got a little jam up there.
We're getting shrubbery. We can't see through the trees right here. Not like the last few rounds. But that was something that yesterday's you guys ended up running the 5 laps.
Yep.
I was right on that cusp of, hey, is it going to be a short 4 or a long 5? You ran a long 5. I think the general consensus after the race was, I'm beat, I'm tired, I feel lethargic, I'm exhausted. So I got to think we're going to see some of the same from these guys today. So pacing yourself has got to be important.
Yeah, absolutely. And yesterday I will say that when I came through at the end of 3, when I came through at the end of 2, I was really hoping for a 2-lap card. Never saw it. Was hoping just to go straight to the white
yes.
at the end of 3. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, we ended up getting the 2-lap card after 3, knowing there was 5 left. And I actually came in to the pit, and Becca and Tyler, my crew, were there. And I said, man, I don't know if I have 2 more in me. And Tyler, in his dry, sarcastic humor, just looked at me and he said, well, there's 2 more laps. So that means you have 2 more laps in you. And so, yeah, it ended up actually working out. I made up quite a few spots on the last lap. Maybe old, but I'm tough. So just kept plugging. So I think this is going to be a big factor today. All these guys are obviously fit, but this is probably the hottest race we've had thus far this year, and definitely the most humid. There we see our XC2 leader, Johnny Gerard, the 969, and he's starting to stretch it out a little bit. There is 178 Lyndon Snodgrass. He is another rider that we've seen on the podium a couple times already, and a sand specialist being from Australia. So there we see the guys kind of following through after. That looks to be Mike Witkowski there in 4th. Didn't quite catch the number on who that was in 3rd, but I'm sure we'll see him checking in, just like the XC1 guys here at the finish. Stu Baylor leading the way, and just behind him, the 114. Keep an eye, folks, on the freight train today. Remember, wrestled a win away from Caleb Russell here last year, and did it in kind of commanding fashion. Was able to ride away from Caleb late in the race. Very few people were able to do that last year, and this is a track where Strang, although he says he's not a sand specialist, he made it work.
Says otherwise, according to last year. Right now, Stu Baylor, your leader out front. Lap time, if you guys are watching at home, 25 minutes, 32 seconds. Strang, the Strang train, freight train behind him in the number 2 spot. Toast sitting in 3rd, Jordan Ashburn 4th, and Buttrick, Corey Buttrick, how about that? Corey Buttrick in the number 5 position on the Beta. Lane Michael, the 523, back in 6th, and Benjamin Kelly rounding out the top 7 in the XC1. And we've got a mic. I bet that's Rodney. Got a mic on by bikes, maybe? I don't know.
Somebody out there. There you can see a pretty unique feature there. They crossed that long bridge over part of one of the many bodies of water here at this Camp Coker facility. Again, they've been doing that since year 1. Very cool. They actually can't fit an ATV across that bridge safely, but the PM bike only race does go across that to access the XC1 Pro pits there.
All good. All good.
But now they're double back around, and they're back onto the part. Now this part opens up into some big fields, so we should get to see some action from our drone here. And Bevo, while we got you in the booth, I know obviously the rain that came down on Friday kind of made for some wet conditions. It's been drying out as the day goes on, but GNCC 100%, you guys have been a part of the series, and over many years, this has got to kind of be the ultimate testing grounds for your goggles and for all optics. Is this, you guys try to get a lot of information out of your athletes here?
Yeah, we not only use the riders for publicity, you'd say, but we also use them to test our products. As a matter of fact, my son, who does the John Kuzo, who does all the service on the motocross side of this, we the same 50 goggles half the year, because we take them home, wash them, and see how they basically hold up. And yeah, we use racing for development, also for promoting our product. And this one here, I could see you're going to have some sand issues, you're going to have some sweat issues. Otherwise, I mean, the track looks really good. I mean, that little bit of rain must have really helped. I mean, it looks like you guys groomed it to be this good.
Yeah, well, you get into the woods, there's definitely some holes out there that'll gobble people up. And you see sections like this here. This is where you can really see that rain that came in Friday. But, again, huge hats off to the Racer Productions and the track crew. This track, for all the rain that did come down on Friday, they've done a phenomenal job of making not only a raceable track, but a track that's promoting a lot of passing and just some good racing action.
I'll tell you one thing. There's a couple places on this track you could go swimming.
Yes, that is correct.
You definitely don't want to fall off that bridge we saw a moment ago.
Yeah, and especially since you said it's full of snakes, boy. That's probably the worst obstacle on this place, the bridge.
Yeah. That's always been kind of the buzz here. Is that, and to be fair, I've never actually seen a snake here, but they always talk about, there's a lot of snakes here. But hey, we're in South Carolina in the wilderness, and well, Bevo, thank you very much for joining us here in the booth, and always good to get your take on things. And thanks so much for coming out this weekend.
Well, like I said, I've been involved with 100% for 10 years, so obviously we've been involved with GNCC for 10 years, but we're really proud of being a part of this. We do the part of the Veterans Program, we're part of the Hometown Hero Program, and obviously we really put a lot of effort and prizes for the banquets. So I like to thank all of the Coombs family, Tim over here caught it. He's been a friend of mine for 55 years, even though he's only 50. And these folks have done a great job, and they've definitely taken off-road racing to the different level that no one ever expected to. I saw like 8 or 9 semis here. It's really grown, and I'd like to thank everybody. And my parting words are, God bless America.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Bevo. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for the contributions of 100% over the years and being a supporter of the GNCC series. Leading the way here right now, out at the Monster mile marker number 2. Look at this, Mikey. It's just a couple bike lengths, but Stu Baylor, the 514 Ampro Yamaha, is starting to stretch it out. Let's not go the trophy yet, but if you're Josh Strang, there's got to be a little bit of sense of urgency knowing how lethal this is. Look at it. He's just absolutely pinned, and he's starting to just ever so slightly inch away.
Chipping. Stu Baylor actually did the Tuesday Toolbox with us this week with GNCC, and I asked him
a lot of questions.
Some silly questions, but some serious questions. I was frank with him. Are you 100% right now, knowing good and well the answer is going to be probably not? And, he confirmed that. He said, no, I still got some lingering injuries, both from the racing aspect and from the fishing aspect, but that's a whole nother story. So to me, the scary thing is, if Stu Baylor's got this speed at 75% or 80%, what is he going to be at 100? The other side of that coin to me is Stu Baylor's the kind of guy that seems to excel when the chips are down. Whether he likes that or not, that just seems to be the case. And right now, it's a scary thought. Look at Johnny Gerard right now.
He's got to be pretty close. I don't think he's quite in that OA, but I'm thinking we're going to see him in the top 5 on corrected time when they check in next lap. Where was he? He was third. Third last lap, so third OA.
Last year, he was 5th overall at the end of the day from the XC2 class. So something about this track and Johnny Gerard suit each other.
Yeah, Johnny's from up in the Southwick area. I think he's actually from Southwick, Mass. I don't know what his actual town is, but I know Southwick is very local for him. And Southwick is more a sand like this is as opposed to a Florida beach sand. Johnny spent the winter this year at Caleb Russell's facility there, Ranch Russell, and was very, very strong in the sands of Florida. I expect to see the same from him today. Here's another one of our championship contenders, Craig DeLong on the number 1 machine, ending up in that 3rd place spot at the last race. A little bit, anybody looking at the results, a little bit mixed up there with the way that one kind of panned out. Ricky Russell all the way back there. Just noticed that. So Ricky definitely back further than he would likely like to be. Tegan Temple hanging strong there after that hole shot in XC2. Looks like that might be Chris Vendetti possibly behind him. It was hard to tell there, but looked to be that's who that was. There's Evan Smith on the 347 Husky. Another rider that we expect to see up there in the top 5. So, here comes your XC2 guys still chipping their way through here. There is, again, Tegan Temple, the whole shot winner of that XC2 Pro Lights class. And out at mile marker 2, this is a pretty unique section. We get to see him go in both directions, and as a rider as well, you can kind of take a look over your shoulder and see, where the competition is, either behind you or in front of you, which direction.
hanging up the new monster can there. Ricky Russell, a guy, I need him to do better. I picked him to be top 3 today, but he's been there. That first hour and a half speed has been there, and I keep waiting for him to turn that corner. He's admitted it himself. Hey, I'm not 100%. You can train all you want, but the 3-hour speed, 3-hour race is a completely different animal, and I think he's still kind of working that out.
I told Ricky yesterday I had a dream he won this race, and
we're on the same page.
Unfortunately, at this point, that's starting to look a little bit like a dream. Not that it's not possible, but he's in a hole early. Now, another rider we saw that was pretty far back there. There's Ben Parsons, and I believe that may be, he's third in XC. Oh, there we go. There's we've got a couple riders coming through. Chase Colville there. So that is the XC3. It looks like, Ryder Lafferty standing up, just kind of cruising on the pegs, looking like something is very wrong. It's been a tough start to the season. There is Zach Hayes, so that may be our first and second place riders in XC3, and then Ben Parsons will be coming, and I think he is... that's Ryder Lafferty there. So Ben Parsons, I think the top 3 in XC3 did come through there. But Ryder Lafferty definitely looking like he has either a problem with him or the machine. He's dropped back behind that XC3 class. And there is Hunter Neuwirth, another of our XC2 riders. But yeah, this is a great opportunity, this part of the track right here, to see these guys. And again, check your progress on the guys in front of and behind you.
Make eye contact with them. Works.
Stare them down. Stare them down.
Intimidation.
Yeah, and sitting here looking at this is the Monster Mile here, and I think there's some more XC3 riders coming through. There's Jonathan Johnson. But speaking of that Monster Mile, I think 2 of the guys to keep an eye on is those Monster Kawasaki boys over in the Babbitt's tent. Last year, this was actually the first year that Lyndon missed. So he had to go back home to Australia, and this is a track that he missed. And Johnny, as you mentioned, he's a bit of a sand expert. And you see him and Johnny up there running in the top 1 and 2 in that XC2 class. And then I think Strang, with the way things panned out for him last race, he's hungrier than ever to come out here. Obviously won this race last year. Didn't get the results he was looking for last race. So I think both of those monster boys are going to be ones to look at today too.
Yeah, that was actually an interesting, I didn't get an opportunity to follow up with Josh, but I read his post on Instagram. It had that front brake issue. I left a lot of questions with that one, and it sounded, I wasn't, and I'm not trying to stir the pot here, but reading the post, I wasn't sure if perhaps it was a lap rider he connected with or it was somebody in X. So apparently, by the head nods I'm getting, it was another XC1 rider. Josh making the point, said impatient riders trying to push passes or something to that effect. Ruin my front brake system.
Win the race in the first.
Maybe that's that. Okay.
Those were his
I don't want to misquote him, so thank you for correcting me. So obviously, like you pointed out, T-Shep, he was definitely pretty frustrated, I think, with the way things went, and he showed great speed to come back and salvage some very, very, very valuable points. You know, when you're fighting for a championship, and we talked about this on the show, we talked about it with Grant Baylor, not realizing he was going to come back as far as he did. We were like, man, if he can just salvage, like a top 10 through 2 of the 3 races so far, and he just keeps coming back further than we expect. Point there at the 2-mile marker while we're talking about Strang and how far up he is, and he's there trying to prove a point. Grant Baylor again way in the back of the pack on that XC1 pack, back almost to the XC2 riders early here in the race. We're only 36 minutes in, but Grant's so strong those second 2 hours. He needs to figure out that first hour, it seems, and his speed late in the races shows that if he can stay with these guys early, he can win races, which we've already seen him do. But it's been a struggle for him the last couple of races as far as keeping with these guys early.
One of the things for Grant, he talked about the weight it carried of having the reverse plate in those first couple of rounds. He said, it was on my mind the entire race, and it was almost a relief when he didn't have it anymore. He's like, okay, now I can kind of refocus and start chipping away at this thing again without that in the back of my head the entire race. So maybe that's going to be a good thing for Grant here today. Maybe we see him turn it on like we've seen him do it so many times and be fighting for a podium come the end of 3 hours.
As we're looking here at the unofficial top 10 after 1 lap completed, we do see our points leader, Ben Kelly, all the way down there in 9th place. Now, when we did see him on screen last, it did appear that he had made the pass on Lane Michael and possibly Corey Buttrick as well. So he was up, I believe he was the next rider behind Toth and Ashburn, so maybe up into that 6th place. Oh, we got rider. Oh, that was a chase rider there, going back maybe to check out some of the sections. A lot of mud holes out here, so they've got a lot of course workers out there keeping tabs on things and changing the course as needed or monitoring the course as needed. But another rider that stands out to me, Liam Draper down there in the 10th place spot. So that would put him third in XC2. I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't seen him on camera yet, so I don't know if it's just in the way perhaps I've missed him, or maybe just didn't realize it was him, but we'll have to keep an eye out for him because I know he's a rider that's been expecting a lot of himself and maybe not quite delivering on that thus far this season. Stu Baylor on screen, Mikey.
Already working around some lap traffic, Stu. All by himself.
Yeah, we don't see
Strang.
The 114 of Strang behind him just yet. So that's starting to that inching away we're starting to talk about is starting to turn into feet rather than inches.
And I mean, for Stu Baylor, he knows it. Everybody else knows it.
That was a nice little stoppy grab a water bottle.
That was pretty good. Guys, we got that on camera. They'll want a copy of that.
So there is
was that a glimpse of Strang right there?
So not a crazy lead yet, but he's definitely opened it up.
Yeah.
But it was wheel to wheel, and then there was a few bike lengths in between, and now those bike lengths have turned into second. There is Ashburn. Love that helmet, man. So easy to pick him out. And as kind of expect, no, that's Ben Kelly.
Ben Kelly moving.
So as I said, Ben Kelly was making moves, had made some passes, had gotten around, and is now up into the third place spot. We saw him on screen just now passing Jordan Ashburn. And is that Corey Buttrick there?
I think so.
It is. Corey Buttrick in fifth, right on Jordan Ashburn for fourth. Wayne Michael right behind there. So Corey B, man, gotta love it.
Turn it on.
Factory beta rider. And here is Toth. He was in third, so it looks as though maybe he has gone down because he dropped a little bit of time. And he's going to be really good in this next section, though. It's a very tight section, and Josh really, really seems to excel in those tight, twisty sections like that.
Well, talking about our leader, Stu Baylor, who's out in front, absolutely ripping right now. Is that Grant?
There is Grant. So he's made a few passes. But look at this, Johnny Gerard. So Johnny Gerard and Grant. Now remember, let's go back 2 races. Johnny Gerard and Grant hooked up in Florida, I believe it was, and pushed each other.
Yeah.
Kept pushing Johnny up further in the OA, and ended up, Johnny had a crash, and Grant was able to capitalize. There is Liam Draper. And yeah, we're these guys are, man, this XC2 class. There's looks like Cody Barnes there, the number 99. These guys are all tight here in that XC2, Mikey.
Got tight racing. We got Stu Baylor out in front trying to extend the lead. Is it going to be a duplicate of what we saw a couple of weeks ago in Georgia? GNCC on RacerTV returns after this.
I'm Stuart Baylor. You're watching GNCC Live on RacerTV.com.
RV Superstore is family owned and operated and stake their reputation on offering you the finest RVs available in their McBee, South Carolina RV dealership. Brown's RV Superstore carries motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, and toy haulers, and keep a huge inventory of new and used RVs in stock for you to choose from. They offer top dollar for your RV trade-in and help you get the RV financing you need. As a part of the GNCC family, Brown's RV Superstore, in partnership with Vengeance Toy Haulers, offers sponsorship packages for every level of racer with discounts and continued savings on your new toy hauler. Brown's RV Superstore has dedicated themselves to complete customer satisfaction, specializing in providing a positive start to your RV adventure. They look forward to customers coming back to share their tales from the road. Call Brown's RV Superstore today at 877-805-3658 or visit their website at brownsrvsuperstore.com, where family fun begins.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. The all-new from the ground up 2019 Yamaha YZ250F is available at LoJack Cycle Sales, alongside the all-new YZ65 and YZ85 and refined YZ450F. So stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
Hi, my name is Andrea Lieb, the director of On Track School. How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, They will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association, racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track. And we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer. We win and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
Monster Energy AMA Supercross in FIM World Championship.
22 riders in the starting gate believe I will be champion.
Be there to see who wins the round at Atlanta Motor Speedway April 10th, 13th, and 17th. Visit supercrosslive.com to get your tickets today.
The Yamaha GNCC University returns, calling all ATV and motorcycle off-road racers. Are you looking to hone your riding and racing skills? Want to learn hands-on with the best of the best past and current GNCC racers and champions? Then sign up for the 2021 Yamaha GNCC University, returning to Snowshoe Mountain Resort June 23rd through the 25th. We're bringing together Yamaha's ATV and motorcycle racing elite to instruct in-depth courses and fundamentals of racing and riding. During the Yamaha GNCC University, students will participate in lectures about sportsmanship, training, proper nutrition, and mental preparation, along with hands-on skills and drills designed to improve your riding and confidence in a variety of terrain and situations. Reservations are on a first-come, first-served basis, with limited openings evenly split between the disciplines. For more details and to register, contact Snowshoe Mountain Resort at 877-441-4386.
And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. Look at that view. That is, I believe, footage from last night. That or the sun started going down.
Fishing tournament.
I recognize that tattoo. That is Jordan McFadden. Fishing tournament brought to you by Brown's RV Superstore. Griff doing some MC there with DJ Judd. And I think they had like well over 100 people out there. Oh, look, Adam Gordon getting some love. Enjoying the silver bullet, man. Yeah, well over about 100 people, I believe. Look at that cast. I've seen better, Jordan. I'm just saying. I don't know the stats on what the largest fish, biggest fish, but it was awesome. What was it? I think it was bigger than that. You said 21? I think it was bigger. Biggest fish?
I don't want to brag or nothing, but I was out there for the full 2 hours, caught nothing.
Caught nothing. Oh, look at that.
Oh, there it is. That's a big boy right there. That's a hog.
I watched that one get caught right in front of me, close to where I was fishing. So that one
swiped it right away from you.
That deflated my.
Basically, you're saying that guy just stole your fish.
Exactly. Stole my fish, man. But yeah, if you guys at home watching, if you've never been out to Camp Coker, I know we mentioned it once. Leaders on screen there from the drone. I don't think that was leader unless a lot of things shook up. But, yeah, Corey Buttrick doing work right now. Get to Camp Coker next year. If you've never been here, I know speaking for myself from the Midwest, it is a pain in the butt to get here as far as the drive goes. It's worth it. Once you're here, it's awesome. Leaders on screen. There went, what was that, Josh Toth?
Josh Toth, yep. We had Toth. It was Ben Kelly, Kelly, Jordan Ashburn, Corey Buttrick, all through on screen. Was Lane in there?
Yep, Lane came by right behind Corey on his tail.
Yeah, so they're still all right together there. Did not get a C. We'll have to check. We'll get another shot here in a moment, but don't know if Adam had a clock on if Stu was still out front and if he had pulled away, because there was a bike seemingly right in front. Oh, so Johnny Gerard, and has he shaken? That may have been. Oh wow, that's a bunch of XC2 guys there. So they have now closed that gap back on Gerard. Again, these tight sections, it's easy to gain time, easy to lose time, and they're just coming out of these pines and headed their way towards the finish line. They got a couple miles of more of this open stuff here that we'll see on screen. We should see them at the Monster Mile or the FMF Power Point or whichever one it is. They're coming up. They'll be up and down a hill, but this is kind of some of the more open stuff off, we're able to follow with this Yamaha live drone and see some of the battling action from overhead.
So before we went to break, we kind of saw how gapped out these positions were throughout XC1 and XC2. They're coming through right here after this tight section already with those gaps tightened up. And this is on the first lap when it's just them out there. So this is going to be a section to watch as we get later in the race, and they're going to have to deal with lappers as well.
I think we must have missed our leaders again because that was Ben Kelly, and we think he's in third, so that would be Jordan Ashburn fourth, Corey Buttrick fifth, and there is Lane Michael sixth, Josh Toast seventh. So I think we've missed Strang and obviously Baylor out front 1-2. So that's at the 7-mile marker. This is coming back the other way. So we'll have to wait and see if we can get a visual on these guys before they actually make it to the finish line. Obviously, we are being told Stu is still leading, and we assume Strang's still second. We've just missed him on camera in the last couple shots here.
Stu with a wide open track heading into the tightest section of the track, already with a bit of a lead. No doubt that he used that to his advantage, and I'm sure Strang was staying right with him. As we got Johnny Gerard.
Here we go. Here's our leaders. Now at the mile marker 8, there is the 5:14 of Stu Baylor on the gas. We'll see what his gap is. He kind of rounds that corner there at 48.41 as he heads up the hill in the FMF PowerPoint. We'll see what we can get. Oh, look at that. That gap has come back down. So Strang not wanting to let Baylor get away. I think you guys know Josh Strang knows exactly how dangerous Stu Baylor can be when he gets a lead.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. Good shot of him overhead from the Yamaha Racing live drone, and give you a good idea. That doesn't even do it justice to how fast he's moving out there right now. But yeah, like you said, Johnny, Strang not wanting to let him out of his sights.
I believe at the Florida round, the drone operator had said that they were flying, in one of the field sections, they had said he was flying 65 miles an hour and could not keep up with these guys. Now, here is our third place rider, Ben Kelly, on the 530 machine. So he's made the move around the guys he was just battling with there and started to pull away a bit, but he is still, how far back are we, T-Shep?
I was doing quick math. Looks about 39 seconds that he was back.
So yeah, right over 30, less than 40. But these guys are now. Here is Stu coming through and starting to hit some lappers.
Here we go. This was a big factor in Georgia a couple weeks ago. Lap traffic, especially in those tight sections, was real difficult to get around, which we mentioned previous in the show. For you guys yesterday, there was a lot of single track. Obviously, not necessarily the case for the bikes, but still some very, very tight track. And you talk about like rutted out. There seems to be no bottom to this place, and the finish line is a really good example of it. Even after they dozed the track last night, this is a gnarly one.
So there we see on screen the 969 of Johnny Gerard right in his shadow, the 178 of Lyndon Snodgrass. So that is 1 and 2 in your XC2 Pro Lights class. Here is 1 and 2 in your XC1 class. Stu Baylor, that's the rider out front. We can see him coming down VP Fuels Pro Row, getting a pit board there. Right behind him, the 114 of the Babbitts. Monster Energy Kawasaki of Josh Strang. I'm going to ask this question for you guys before we get too deep into this one, because obviously we're all going to find out here in about 2 hours and 10 minutes, give or take. Probably looking to be a 6-ish lap race. We'll see how it pans out. But I'm going to ask you guys right now. I think yesterday what we saw, in my opinion, having been out there and seeing how the results played out, Walker Fowler obviously able to stretch out a pretty sizable lead towards the end of this one, and I think that purely came down to one thing and one thing only, and that was fitness. I think he was, Cole Richardson obviously was right there, had the speed. A bunch of guys were up front and pushing Walker early. When it came right down to it, of course, this will come off as biased, but I'm just being honest. On the first lap of the race, I said to myself, I saw Bryson had broken his chain, and I literally said, no one has anything for Walker. Not because I didn't think anyone had the speed, I just knew how brutal the track was. I know the condition he's in. So my question, to transfer this to bike day, who do we believe to be the fittest rider out there that is going to be able to basically capitalize on these track conditions? Because it is going, in my opinion, this isn't just going to come down to speed. It isn't just going to come down to line choice. Of course, luck, lappers, all that stuff's going to factor into it. But the nastiest guy out there, the fittest rider, is the one who's, in my opinion, will likely win this race. So, without further ado, who do we think it's going to be?
Who, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Go ahead.
I'm nervous. I'm going to go. I want Stu Baylor just because the guy's an animal, and I feel like he can rise above any kind of physical pain, endurance. His wife's going to kill me when I go to the pits. I'm going to go with Ben Kelly.
Oof.
I'm going to go with Ben Kelly.
Okay.
I'm going to pay for that dearly when I get in those Pro pits, Rodney Tomlin.
Man, so just like you said, I think it's going to come down to fitness. And, I mean, we saw Stu limited riding in the offseason, dealing with some health issues, looking at Grant Taylor here.
Oh, this is an extended pit stop. What are we working on?
Something.
Is that a foot peg?
or shifter. Yep, there's no dirt on that shifter getting put on right there, so it looks like they took the old one off, putting a new one on.
That's unfortunate. That's a big time loss there for Grant.
Seconds feel like minutes right now. He's off and rolling.
So he's a rider that we know is going to go out there and try to push to gain back all of those overall positions that he can. T-Shep, back to what you were saying there.
No, so, I mean, Stu, limited time on the bike in the offseason. Comes back in after the National Enduro with an injury again to his back, so he's off the bike for a little while again right there, and not riding as much over the past couple weeks or leading up to Florida. And so we're going to see how that factors in. I mean, right now, it's one of those situations where, yeah, there's some tight sections on the track, but this is a very fast race course. And this early on, is it better to be leading or is it better to be chasing? And I think right now, Josh is going to hang back. He's going to let Stu dictate the pace for now. And I think once Strang kind of gets his bearings and underneath it, I think he has the fitness to go ahead and take control of the race from there. And like I said, he's riding with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder from the last race in Georgia, and knowing that he won this race last year. So I think he's got the combination of everything going for him. So I'm gonna go with the 114 machine.
All right. So before you answer, let me ask you this. You didn't specify XC1 guy. Are you referring to maybe an XC2 guy taking an overall today on adjusted time?
I wasn't in the beginning. I wasn't actually throwing my opinion in. That was a genuine question. No. I'm going to give my opinion.
Okay.
But when I asked the question, I didn't have an idea of where I wanted to lead you guys with it. So no, I wasn't. Of course, yeah, absolutely. And it looks like Rodney Tomlin's going to join us here, so we'll get his opinion in a few moments as well. But for my opinion, it's funny, because, here we have Stu leading. Stu coming off a win. Stu's kind of, obviously had some setbacks, but if we want to scroll back all the way through the end of last season, Stu's kind of been the dominant rider throughout the last, 6-7 races when he's on the track, which right now he is, and leading in the Monster Energy Mile, and the 114 of Josh Strang still shadowing him there. So I hate to not say Stu, because he's leading, he's put himself in the right position, and it's not that I don't think Stu has the fitness. I do believe he does, but, T-Shep, you kind of hit the nail on the head. Limited riding, he's been through some injuries, he's been going through some stuff, and I think this track is going to take absolutely everything out of everybody. And in the realm of kind of goading somebody's ego, let me tell you right now, I don't believe Stu Baylor is the fittest rider on the track. However, if there is a rider who can go outside of fitness, outside of the norm, outside of when their brain tells them to slow down and shut it down, Stu Baylor is the guy. That being said, I'm going with Ben Kelly.
Okay, you're going with Ben Kelly.
We're on the same page.
Wow. Here's the thing. I don't disagree with anything that has been said here as far as fitness, and fitness is going to be a big part of this race. But to me, something about these types of races, fitness does have a huge part in it. And I think as much as anything, at one point, you bring up the point of riding outside the limitations and pushing yourself. That's one thing that Stu is very capable of doing. It's something that we have seen him do literally since his youth days of racing. And right now, we are in a scenario, in talking with Stu last night in the pro pits late around 10 o'clock, this is this exact scenario he did not want to be in. He did not want to be in the lead out front, and he didn't want Josh Strang this close to him, and Ben Kelly. Ben Kelly's another, and those are the two guys. But I'm going out on a limb here just because of the conditions, and I've seen how zapped Josh Strang can be in these heated conditions when it starts to warm up, when the air starts to get heavy like this. So I'm going on heart alone in this one, and I'm not saying that Josh Strang doesn't have the heart to win, doesn't say Bill and Kelly or any of these guys, but I think the guy that is hungriest right now, has the most to prove, wants to prove the most, and may want the championship for more reasons than anybody out there on that starting line right now, is Stu Baylor. So I'm going with Baylor.
All right, so we got a Baylor, two Kellys, and a Strang out of the four in here. Let me say one thing. This is my opinion. I'm not projecting this on any of the three of you guys, but I believe that if Stu Baylor wins this, it's because he has the most heart. I believe if Josh Strang wins this, it's because he has that chip on his shoulder right now. Oh, we got a Baylor coming out of the control room.
Griff
got her. We got some of the...
that's low-hanging fruit. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's like Rocky Balboa that can go the distance.
And I think I will speak on behalf of all four of us, and you guys can feel free to shut me up if I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be shocked if any one of those three guys or about three other guys wins this race. But if you're asking me, if you're asking our opinions, we've given them, but I really do believe Stu Baylor wins it. It's Hart. Josh Trang wins it. It's that chip that T-Shep mentioned a little bit ago. And if Ben Kelly wins it, it's pure fitness. Yeah. So we're going to find out not only which rider, and could be others as well, which rider wins, but maybe what the driving force behind that win was here in less than 2 hours. Ricky Russell struggling there, got a handguard hanging down, and the rider that I had a dream on Friday night was going to win this race. Ricky, you better get going, buddy, because if you're going to win this one, we need to see some right-hand throttle twisting, chicken wing that thing, and get on the hammer.
Guys, I want to point something out here, too. Corey Buttrick, I know we're talking about so much going on right now, but Corey Buttrick, if you look at class results right now, is running, he's solid top 10 as you look at that, 7th right now overall. But he is 5th in class right now, and this has got to be one of the strongest, I think, starts that we've seen out of the 121. This season. And with that being said, you know, I'm going to say it right. This is not the conditions, not the type of day that I would have expected to see Corey Buttrick excel in. He's one of those southeastern Ohio riders that you expect to excel in the muddy, nasty conditions more often than not. But today, evidently a decent start puts him in a great position here early on in the race. And as we approach the 1 hour mark, Buttrick is in this thing, and not inconceivable to think that he might not even be able to grace the presence of the podium.
For sure. You know, Corey Buttrick, we actually, I don't remember if it was you and I, Rodney, or me and Johnny, but we did a behind the bars with him where we went over his XC1 win in his rookie season, the one win he has in the pro class.
Right.
And it was a different Corey Buttrick, a renewed Corey Buttrick. He made some changes over the last couple of years in his own personal life, and obviously the physical changes were there. Just a different rider, a different person. He fits so well with the Beta team. I think he's found a new lease on life, a new lease on racing.
Yeah, and the good thing about that, too, is he's matured. I mean, he's still a young guy. I mean, you feel like that Corey Buttrick is old and he's past his prime. That is not the case. He's still in his late 20s right now. I think 28, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in that neighborhood. You mentioned some things in his personal life. He just had another baby here recently, so things are going, and things are perfect there. I mean, they're having a great time with that. But I think one of the biggest assets to his program right now is the fact that he is working with a 5-time GNCC champion in Rodney Smith. Rodney has a lot of knowledge, I think, to pass on, especially to somebody like Corey Buttrick, who already has such an amazing racecraft that he brings to the table.
Yeah, and another thing about Corey is he had a little bit of time off with that knee injury and getting surgery and coming back from that, and he just got back on this factory Beta machine. So he rode it in the past, but he just got back on it now. He's on that 434 stroke. So talking with him back and forth, he's finally getting comfortable on that thing. I mean, he's had this off season to ride it, get used to it. I know he's been riding the sand not too far from here in McBee, South Carolina, quite a bit, and I think one of the things is he's really vibing with that bike. He's starting to understand it. They got their suspension settings right, and I think he's really getting back comfortable, and not only just being comfortable on the new bike, but being comfortable going back out there and racing for 3 hours. I mean, that's not something that you can come off the couch and go out and do at the top level, and now that he's got 3 of them under his belt, I think he knows what he's capable of, and he wants to show all of us that.
You know, looking at the group that he's racing with right now and the overall positions of 7th, 8th, and 9th place position, he's got Lane Michael only about 5 seconds behind him, and another 5 seconds behind him is Josh Toth. So there's a pretty tight battle going on between, and that could be a good group to be battling with to elevate yourself a little further up into the pack.
Yep, I mean, we saw Josh Toth on the podium at the last round, and he's working back from an injury himself. I mean, that's definitely good company to keep and good company to push each other. If they stay linked up and stay hooked up throughout this thing, I think that's going to be a dangerous train as we get in late in the race, and they're all pushing each other through there.
Well, an hour and 1.5 minutes into this race now, guys, and temperatures in the low 80s right now. There is a slight breeze. I think that might be the only saving grace from this. If the air was as still as it was yesterday with the humidity that is in the air right now, you would have to think that would make this a little more grueling. Not that it's not, because it is exactly that. I know that from the youth race when my son raced. He came off the track and talked about how tired he was, and I was watching him ride, and I know the good thing about this track is he didn't have a lot of time to sit down, so he got a lot of good practice of standing up like he's supposed to on this one today. But yeah, he was worn out after this. It was rough, but he loved this track, and he had a really good time. So I think that we'll see a lot of that breeze really helping out with this heat today, in my opinion. But the roughness of the track certainly brings that element of just totally destroying your fitness.
Absolutely. And Rodney, over here on screen, we got our FMF XC3 class that just scrolled by. We just saw them on camera in that last shot there before we switched here to wait on the leaders. It was Jonathan Johnson, who's had a perfect season so far. He came by in first, but Chase Colville and our defending series champion, Zach Hayes, were both right there with them. You could about throw a net over the three of them as they came in, but saw that pop up on the screen there. So as we look here now, I see a Kawasaki with red plates. That is the Josh Strang Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Factory Kawasaki machine. He is coming out, and it looks like Stu Baylor is behind. So somewhere in between that last section of woods, Josh Strang moves into the overall lead. Stu Baylor hard on the throttle right behind him. You see his head down, pushing through that corner, trying to catch back up with Strang. A lot of dust here that Strang is kicking up, and they're getting into the lappers. Now this is where the veteran of Josh Strang's race knowledge and race management is going to come into play as he moves into that #1 spot, and now Stu goes from leading to following.
Chip and Hart right there at the front of the pack right now. That chip on the shoulder, that heart on the sleeve, so to speak, and just riding with both of those out there in full force today. Both these guys are, again, really starting to stretch things out quite a bit over the rest of the field. If we look back at the end of lap number 2, I believe that we were seeing nearly 40 seconds over the third place ride of Ben Kelly. I'm not sure how Ben's doing. If you look at lap times right now, they both, Baylor and Strang, both turning 24:33s. Ben Kelly a 24:57, but you know that could be just settling into a pace early on in the race, and we may see him start to make a push later on. So you and Johnny's guesses of Ben Kelly might be a little closer to right, especially the way that these guys are pushing here at this juncture of the race. We're not even at the halfway point where that's where the wall usually is hit for a lot of riders.
And just as you mentioned that, Rodney, there was Ben Kelly coming through the camera there, going through that field section and diving back off into the woods. And it looks like Lane Michael, is that him up there?
Johnny Gallagher, 1 minute 5 seconds.
Was the gap.
Was the gap that we've got between back to Ben Kelly. So what's your way in on this one? I mean, the intensity of the battle up front, you think that's got most of to do with it?
I'm most upset about the fact that Mikey and I are looking outside.
Exactly.
I think that section is too high. I mean, you were going to see so many swings through that section throughout the day. It looks like, is that lead point? That was between first and second. So Johnny Carr still yes, because there is Wiskowski, so that was Lane Michael on his back. Walk back out and clutches the leaders in the next 2 laps.
All right, so right now we are at the 4-mile marker. We're an hour and 5.5 minutes into this race. Stu Baylor, Josh Strang, one with a chip on his shoulder, one riding with all heart today, and the man with the physical fitness 1 minute and 5 seconds behind. Are we going to see a change in this? Who's going to come out on top? Who will win the FMF Camp Coker Bullet GNCC? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues after this.
I'm Josh Strang. You're watching GNCC on RacerTV.com.
Rocky Mountain ATV MC, retailer, distributor, manufacturer, product developer, parts tester. This is what we do. But who we are is something much simpler. We're riders, like you. 100% employee owned and operated, a company built by riders, entirely for riders. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
The directive: advance human performance beyond biological limitation.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Kinetic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Kinetic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Kinetic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Kinetic. Kinetic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
Best time to drink beers when the sun's down. Or at a GNCC.
Best time to drink beer. Definitely after a good race, good hard-fought result, and then something to celebrate, I guess.
Best time to drink beer. First 2 weeks of the off season. That's when we hit it hard.
My wife makes me nervous every time I get in the car with her.
Last person to make me nervous, probably this interview right now.
You guys right now.
My guilty pleasure, I think it shows. I like to eat.
Yeah, my guilty pleasure is probably definitely pizza. I grew up eating a ton of pizza and had to cut that out of the diet for racing, but yeah, I love pizza.
Getting into ice cream a little bit too much. Yeah.
My words to live by is you only live once, so you better make it count.
I think the words to live by is just do one thing every day that scares you. I think that's a Kirk Caselli quote, and yeah, really like that one.
Some words to live by? Just never give up. Give it your all. You only live once. Keep pushing and getting after it. It's like, yeah, just like I could have gave up this last year, and I'm back here doing it. So I'm excited and keep pushing forward.
Well, get to know Stu Baylor, Josh Toth, and rough and rowdy Ricky Russell as we welcome you back here to Society Hill, South Carolina for the 4th round of the GNCC Championship Series. And, of course, this is the FMF Camp Coker Bull at GNCC. I'm Rodney Tomlin along with Mikey Waynes, Johnny Gallagher, also Tyler Shepardson in from On the Pipe Podcast, and also joined in studio now by North Carolina Treasurer Dale Falwell. Dale, a former GNCC class champion, as well as a state elected official there in the state of North Carolina. Man, we are so glad and proud to have you back as a part of GNCC racing. I know we're in South Carolina, but the Carolinas, man, they basically go hand in hand, in my opinion.
It's really great to be with you today. You know, at the summit is when I was in my last race and went off a jump on the last lap and broke my arm between the elbow and the shoulder.
Ouch.
And then a year ago tomorrow, I was in intensive care with a really serious form of COVID when no one knew what to do with people like me.
Wow.
A blood ox level of 84 while I was ingesting 8.5 units of oxygen, and that's not a good place to be. So
wow.
By the grace of God, I'm here joining you today, and so glad to be back with you after breaking the arm and going through COVID, and glad to be back in South Carolina. You know, South Carolina has opened up their economy faster than North Carolina has. We look forward to hopefully getting GNCC Nation back to Steel Creek or any other venue in North Carolina.
Right.
But I'm here today on behalf of Curtis Loftus, who is the treasurer of the state of South Carolina. So he and I work very closely together, and just glad to be with you.
Man, we're glad to have you, and I hope you send a good report back to them. I hope they recognize what we bring to the local communities when we come in. There's Josh String, your leader, as he checks in at the 7-mile marker, and wow, that gap not really huge, but there is starting to be a little bit of a gap between first and second place. Dale, as we watch this battle on TV, again, just glad to have you guys working together like that. And like you said, South Carolina open a little faster, but North Carolina's on track. You guys have got a plan and getting the economy back rolling there as well.
We do have a plan, but the plan has to be based on common sense. and there's enough common sense at one GNCC race to replace all the elected officials in the whole entire world.
I've been trying to tell everybody that for years.
But you mentioned just a moment ago the economic vitality, the turning over of the money, whether it's charcoal or ice or nabs or Pepsi Colas. It's amazing the impact. And for example, in Burke County, where Steel Creek is, I believe that event is the #1 sales tax revenue event of the whole year.
Oh mercy! Wow.
So when you look at the North Carolina Hare Scramble Series, the Mid-East Series that's in Burke County as well as Steel Creek, and you think about how you fund public schools, public safety, things that people really care about, it's very important to realize the impact that GNCC Nation has on generating sales tax when they do come to town.
That's pretty impressive. And to hear that, you often wonder and you hope and you think that maybe that is the actuality, and to hear that, Dale, it certainly means a lot. As we are watching here on screen, if you're watching, Josh Strang still leading Stu Baylor in some of those wood sections. Looked like Stu was starting to close back up, or starting to close in on some lap traffic right now, but I believe we're going to see Josh get by this guy pretty quickly, but Stu's still hot on the throttle. And again, like we said, Stu coming into this one, he's in a position not where he necessarily wanted to be up front like this, and especially not with Josh Strang and Josh Toth quite the way that they are. But the good news for Stu is that Josh Toth's a minute plus back right now. Josh Strang still within sight. And Dale, are you going to come back racing anytime soon?
Well, I'm not sure of that. I have a 4-year contract, obviously, just getting reelected in North Carolina as the state treasurer. I received for the second time more votes than the President of the United States did in North Carolina.
Wow.
And, it just tells you that all your viewers, people don't care what political party you're a member of, they just want their problem solved.
Right.
And when they're facing job, health, food, and educational insecurity and uncertainty, that's where my focus is. And I know we're going to run out of time, just to tell you that we have a program in North Carolina called nccash.com. Every state has one of these, no matter where your listeners are today. We have $911 million sitting at nccash.com.
Big Kelly, by the way, third place on.
Yeah, at nccash.com. People can go to NCCash or the equivalent in South Carolina or anywhere else in the country. This is the last paycheck they never got to, a dividend check, a co-op dividend, and nccash.com or any equivalent in any state. Check your name, your maiden name, your kids' names, your parents' names, your business name, your nonprofit name. $911 million. We've given away $71 million this year.
Wow.
Just gave $2,500 to the Panthers.
Wow.
and the Panthers gave the money, they paid it to a domestic abuse shelter in Charlotte.
Awesome. Awesome. That is great. There's Josh Strang into the pits. This is going to be critical pit stop strategies for these riders just to try to get in and get out. I think at this particular juncture of the race, being at point as we head into the midway point of the race, might be a little bit of inspiration for the riders. Strang in and out. Looks like Stu Baylor still back in the #2 spot. Not a lot gained, not a lot lost by either rider. Both riders able to do what needed to be done. As you can see, we got one youngster down there enjoying the pond while the riders make their way across the FMF PowerPoint Island down there, and of course around the edge of the pond and down our pro row. I really like the layout of this pro row area. It's so cozy, I think, for the spectators and for the folks that make their way into GNCC here this weekend. But wow, look at this raging battle that continues to roll here as Strang is trying to work his way through the lap traffic. He gets by a few and really starting to wick it up quite a bit now. We're starting to see that gap open up over Stu Baylor. Not a whole lot necessarily, particularly at this point, but the gap, like we saw between and when the situation was reversed, is starting to open. Can Baylor close it back down? Well, Dale, like we said, appreciate you being here, man, and glad that North Carolina is such a big fan of GNCC. I am going to go on OHcash.com and see if I've got anything over there.
Great.
But
well, everybody talks about football being a game of inches, and I won my national championship 8 years ago by 12 seconds.
Wow.
When you add it all up at the end of the year. So we appreciate everybody tuning in, and thank you, and thank GNCC Nation for all you do for the local communities. Thank you very much.
Dale Falwell, North Carolina State Treasurer. Johnny Gallagher joining us back in studio. In the pits now, Ben Kelly. The situation, the scenario is starting to flip a little bit as the tides have turned, and it looks like Baylor now trying to play catch up to Josh Strang.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of things have changed there in the last few moments, Rodney, and one of those, like you said, a new leader in Josh Strang out front on that number 114. Babbitt's Monster Energy Kawasaki, and he is leading the way, starting to pull away just a little bit. Stu Baylor kind of really throwing everything he has at it, trying to reel back in Josh Strang to get back to that lead spot, or at least get to the rear wheel of Strang. Looks like that is what we're actually watching on screen here from the Yamaha Live drone. Our Yamaha Racing Live drone showing us all these shots from out here around this picturesque facility at Maurice Sportsman Preserve here in Camp Coker, South Carolina. Getting a little granulated there, but that is the Josh Strang 114 machine out front. Stu Baylor, the 514 Ampro Yamaha right behind him, and these are the two guys that have led this through its entirety thus far. 1 hour and 20 minutes into this one, and they are still throwing down a game of inches right now. Another thing that we talked about that kind of unraveled or developed on screen here, as I think we just saw him actually go by on screen, Ben Kelly. We thought he might be able to make a push to get up to the rear of that Baylor and Josh Strang battle, but it does not appear that that is the case right now. It appears they're actually starting to pull away. So we went from what was 40 seconds up to the last we knew it was 1:05, and if we check when they came in here at the completion of lap number 3, they're actually not getting the live scoring. It has not quite updated yet, but they are, I believe, oh, here we go. So it is Johnny Gerard now up to that 3rd place spot in the overall. He has gotten around Ben Kelly on corrected time. Ben Kelly, actually Lyndon Snodgrass now into the 4th place spot overall, only 3.1 second behind. So your top 5 overall as they checked in. Josh Strang leading the way, 1.8 seconds back to Stu Baylor. Johnny Gerard, if we have to go to a lap time for that one, looks like he is about 54 seconds behind Stu Baylor on corrected time. Now keep in mind that's already with the time correction. We're seeing Ricky Russell on screen. We have seen that handguard hanging down here. It looks like they're taking some steps to try and remove what is left of that handguard, and a very frustrated but patient Ricky Russell. Look at this, folks. Here we are in the Monster Mile and the Monster Energy Babbitt's Online Kawasaki machine of Josh Strang leading the way, and at least for the time being starting to stretch it out just a little bit over the 514 Ampro Yamaha of Stu Baylor. It's real close still, but Strang just playing the game of inches that we saw going the opposite direction just a few moments ago. It seemed like it was Baylor, the one on the move. He was able to start pulling away a bit from Strang, and now it's actually Strang who's kind of flipped the script and started to gap out on Stu Baylor. We'll see exactly what that gap was when they came through at the finish. We were talking about our top 5 there, and Ben Kelly was back. He was 1 minute and 5 seconds behind. That's what he was when we saw him there at the 7-mile marker. So that gap seems to have stabilized, but he's going to have a hard row to hoe if he's going to try and get up in there and battle, make it a 3-way battle for the lead, which is right now owned by Josh Strang, Stu Baylor, and Hot Pursuit.
Well, are you at all surprised about the way things are going? Probably not. I mean, this is kind of what I expect to see. It's a slugfest, and I think it's only going to get harder punches and more sluggier as the race wears on. And I think these lappers are going to play. Yeah.
Jordan Ashburn has gotten around Ben Kelly now. So Jordan Ashburn up into that 3rd place spot. So I was kind of expecting to see Ben Kelly making a charge, getting closer to the front, and it actually appears that now he's been caught and passed by Jordan Ashburn. I gotta tell you, been watching Ben's bike and some of the bigger stuff, and it seems he's fighting it just a little bit. He doesn't seem to have that same flow. You can see he's getting kicked a lot. He's having to stand up and use those long legs, so maybe possibly missed a little bit on the suspension setup for the weekend. There is Lane Michael, and look at this, Johnny Gerard. There is your 3rd place overall rider on corrected time right there. Johnny Gerard, their 969 machine, your XC2 Pro Lights leader, And last we knew, just a few seconds behind him was Lyndon Snodgrass on that number 178 Monster Energy Babbitt's Online Kawasaki. And we see Lane Michael taking a look over his shoulder. He knows Johnny Gerard is coming, and he's probably thinking, hey, I'm going to let this guy by because I'm going to tag on to him and take a free ride, maybe a little more towards the front.
There you go. And this would be probably a good juncture of the race for Lane Michael to do that. Remember, we talk about that hour-and-a-half mark as is generally the place where things go awry. So maybe if he is able to chill back a little bit and settle in, maybe find that flow with Johnny Gerard and make a push a little later on. But regardless, right now, an hour and 23 minutes into this race. It's still anybody's race, as we are no closer to knowing who's going to take the checkers in this one than we were an hour and a half ago. Who is going to come out on top? That question and many more will be answered when live coverage of the FMF Camp Coker Bullet GNCC continues on RacerTV.com.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We changed the industry by formulating the first API-qualified 100% synthetic motor oil. The rest of the market has been trying to follow our lead ever since. But a head start is a head start. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond, because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees and you're doing 230s and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall I think where I improved the most was my consistency in my recovery.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. The all-new from the ground up 2019 Yamaha YZ250F is available at LoJack Cycle Sales, alongside the all-new YZ65 and YZ85, and refined YZ450F. So stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
Hi, my name is Andrea Lieb, the director of On Track School. How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
Brown's RV Superstore is family-owned and operated and stake their reputation on offering you the finest RVs available in their McBee, South Carolina RV dealership. Brown's RV Superstore carries motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, and toy haulers, and keep a huge inventory of new and used RVs in stock for you to choose from. They offer top dollar for your RV trade-in and help you get the RV financing you need. As a part of the GNCC family, Brown's RV Superstore, in partnership with Vengeance Toy Haulers, offers sponsorship packages for every level of racer with discounts and continued savings on your new toy hauler. Brown's RV Superstore has dedicated themselves to complete customer satisfaction, specializing in providing a positive start to your RV adventure. They look forward to customers coming back to share their tales from the road. Call Brown's RV Superstore today at 877-805-3658 or visit their website at brownsrvsuperstore.com, where family fun begins. Brown's RV Superstore is family owned and operated and stake their
welcome back here to GNCC Racing. We're here at the mile marker number 4. We just saw that commercial there from Brown's RV, and we're actually joined in studio now by Barry, I believe, from Brown's RV. And Barry, you've been a big part of the Camp Coker weekend and a big part of the GNCC family here. I know you guys were a driving force behind our fishing tournament last night. Thanks so much for helping that all happen and all that you do to keep GNCC going and outfit, I'm sure, many of the racers here with quality RV units.
We appreciate it, man. I tell you, we love being a part of this series. We go way back with it. My daughter used to race XCW, and she loved it, and it's just like a big family, of course. So we've always been a lot to be a part of it. Became really good friends with a lot of the guys who you know, and fortunately, had the fortune to outfit them with their nice campers and stuff, you know. So we were talking about the top 3 and 4 a while ago. I think they've all riding around with Brown's RV Superstore
right.
inside. So.
And I think Stu Baylor's got the baddest one of all, the coolest one of them all. He's got a full-wheel drive. I mean, he's got a unit that nobody else in the country has. It's like, what is that, a spec model or something?
Well, it is actually the first prototype that they came out with of this particular floor plan on the F600 chassis. That's 4-wheel drive. They've got some other models, smaller one, smaller chassis, but this is the first prototype. It'll be a few more months before we our
leaders just came by. We actually had don't mean to jump over you there. We've had a change in the lead. Stu Baylor now leading the way, Josh Strang in second, and I believe, as you said, both of those guys in Brown's RVs.
They are. Ashburn is, and Toth is, and all the guys, of course, Zach Hayes and XC3. So all these guys riding around with that stuff. Yeah.
Rodney Tomlin.
That's right. The most important, the most famous one of all. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, thank you, Barry. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Yeah. No, so I tell you, but we just love being out here with this.
Now, the one thing that I want people to know as we wait on our third place battle to come through here in just a moment is the fact that you guys have got a program, an incentive program for GNCC racers, I guess, huh?
We do, and we work with some local racers also, but we've got a sponsorship program that we completely charge off to advertising, so there's nothing to reducing the price or anything. We get the best price we get on the products, and then we do another additional discount for sponsorship if they're interested in that program. So, and if they qualify, of course. So we got a few little qualifications, and if they do, we sign them up and give them a big discount.
For those here on site this weekend, what have we got out here to look at? I know there's a lot of several toy haulers out here.
Yeah. Actually, we've got a few. Grand Design product is the most sought after product in the industry, and so we've got a couple of Grand Design Momentums, a Momentum fifth wheel and a Momentum travel trailer rather, and of course we have a huge selection in stock back at the office here, also about 30 minutes away from Camp Coker here, and then we've got a Cherokee little toy hauler as well, a Grand Design Imagine. So got a little flavor of different things here.
That's awesome, man.
Yes,
so
sir.
if you're on site, certainly stop by and check it out. If you're not, go to brownsrvsuperstore.com, check out the inventory online, and be sure and stop by the McBee location. You will not be disappointed. I've been by there a couple times, and I am just in awe the whole time I'm there. I love it, man.
Thank you. We appreciate it, man. We really do. Really do. Now, I want to take a little credit here. I think Josh has fitted up a little bit. I gave him a little place to go practice at nearby me over there in the sand pit, and he's been practicing that sand pit over there, and he's pouring it on. Yep.
So there you go.
So whoa, new XC2 leader. That was Lyndon Snodgrass. He has made the pass on Johnny Gerard. He is, I believe, because there is Josh Toth on screen. So Lyndon Snodgrass, it looks like, has opened up a gap, no less, over Johnny Gerard. So he was 4th place OA. There is Johnny right there. So not only has he made the pass, he's opened up a sizable gap. Now Johnny Gerard back to that 2nd place spot. So so Lyndon probably staying in Josh's Brown's RV with him. I know he's like a family member, lives at Josh's house there. Yep. And but no, that's very cool. Thanks so much again for all that you do outfitting racers. And it's not hard to walk through the pro pits and see that 90% of the motorcycle athletes have Brown's RV Superstore on the side of their campers. So obviously you guys do a great job of servicing them and keeping them comfy at the races.
Well, we appreciate it, man. We just we're honored to have that opportunity to do that, and it's a true honor.
All right, Barry Brown, Brown's RV
Superstore. Thank you for what you do also.
All right, man. Look forward to see it. Yep. And I look forward to hearing Barry sing the national anthem in one of the upcoming. I'm hoping that you come to Tiger Run, Barry.
All right, I plan on being there.
All right, sounds good. So maybe we can get him to sing the national anthem. I hear he's a pretty doggone good singer, And, of course, can't wait to hear for ourselves. But nonetheless, yeah, Johnny, big things going on here. A couple of lead changes in both the XC1 and XC2. You almost want to wait on the XC3 here and see if we've got that same scenario going.
Well, it wasn't just lead changes, though. We did see that Jordan Ashburn has made his way around Ben Kelly and now has actually started to gap Kelly just a little bit.
Yeah.
So we were kind of waiting to see that charge from the 530, but it's actually the charge coming from number 3 on that Magna 1 Lubricants Husky that Jordan Ashburn hard on the throttle, and who knows, maybe he can get in and track down those guys and start working his way towards a top 2 position, because he's already up into 3rd. But Ben Kelly was still latched back there, so we'll see that we may end up with 2 separate battles here, one over 1st and 2nd and another over the podium. Trevor Bollinger, welcome back to GNCC Racing. We do know last round was his first race back after a very, very, very lengthy delayed return to GNCC Racing. He had an injury and then another injury, and it seems like every time he gets back and just about ready to go GNCC Racing, there's been injuries. So I believe it's been well over a year since we've seen Trevor Bollinger on a racetrack prior to last race in Georgia, and he seems to be getting a little stronger each round, and I don't think it'll be long.
If memory serves me correct, did he not race, I think, the Buckwheat 100? I think he was re-injured at Buckwheat 100, if memory serves me correct.
It's possible. I don't remember him being there, but it is very possible that he was. I just know it seemed last year was just such a struggle for Trevor, so it's so awesome to see him out there and right. Racing and back into contention here, and I'm sure we'll see him climb up through the ranks. One rider we'll have to see what the OA looks like, but we did seemingly, at least from that last camera shot we had, lose Corey Buttrick from that lead group. We know he was up in there. We talked about what a great ride Corey was having. For an hour and a half into this one, he was well up in the top 5, 6, 7 battle. There's Ricky Russell on screen. Speaking of battles, he's been battling a damaged handguard and just a rough day so far for Ricky, but looking like he's trying to find a rhythm and actually seems to have a tail from Ryder Lafferty, a rider that we saw struggling early in that XC2 class, kind of riding, standing up on the pegs after what we assume was a big crash, and we'll weigh down the leaders here out at our Yamaha live drone. I believe this is about little after the 7-mile marker.
Well, joined in studio by another special guest. Lightning Lucas Grounds has made his way in here with us, and Lucas, man, good to have you. That's what I've always called you. You named yourself Rusty, from what I understand, but whatever it is, Lucas, it's good to have you back, man. Happy birthday. Yesterday had a chance to celebrate your 16th birthday with you over at the Magna 1 Motorsports rig there last evening, and good to see you back out at the track, man.
Yep, for sure. I'm excited to be back here with everybody that I've been with the past 8 years, really. It was kind of odd coming into this GNCC season and missing the first 3 rounds of really just being here, because I haven't really missed a round in GNCC in 8 years.
Right.
So it's definitely different, but we're healing and trying to get as best as we can.
Yeah, and for those that don't know Lucas's story, what was it, in October, I believe it was?
It was December. It was like 6 days before knee surgery I was supposed to have.
Oh, mercy. And you were out just trail riding and nothing high speed, nothing off the wall, but a little accident which pitched you into, from what I understand, like a pole, and you suffered a back injury, correct?
Yep, a lower back injury, and it was actually in a covered bridge. We were kind of going through a trail ride, no more than 15 miles an hour, just kind of a freak accident.
Wow, and I mean, you kind of expect things to happen at high speed when something happens like that at low speed. You're not even in competition. I know that's a hard thing to deal with, but I mean, obviously a very hard thing to deal with for a 15-year-old kid. You got a factory Husqvarna ride basically waiting on you. Life is basically the way they say it. You got it by the balls, man. I mean, everything is right for the picking for you, and everything is moving forward, and then all of a sudden this happens. But the most impressive thing about this, I think, Lucas, has been your attitude through the whole thing. I mean, the positive mental attitude that you've been able to portray through this has been just utterly amazing to me.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely try my best to keep a positive attitude, and it makes everything with it easier. It's not necessarily a hard thing to deal with. It's definitely something different that you don't expect to happen in your life. Like you go from training every day for a different goal in mind, and then all of a sudden you get a roadblock, a kink in the road, and then now you're training to get to where you can walk or get better.
Right. And speaking of racing and walking, I want to talk a little bit about that as we watch here at the 7-mile marker for our leaders. But there goes Josh Strang through now, and
Stu Baylor was leading.
Okay.
Yep.
So with that being said, obviously it's been a tough road to hoe for you. You've had a lot of experiences, a lot of ups and downs. You were at one point classified. They thought there was basically zero chance of recovery. I understand now that there is a percentage of a chance of recovery. There is hope. Your mom, I believe, said something in the neighborhood of 3%, but I think that it seems like that's getting better maybe on a daily or weekly basis. So, I mean, hopefully if that continues that progression, we might see you up and walking again.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely the goal. We've been doing physical therapy literally every single day except for the weekends, and we're on this new medicine that's supposed to help regenerate cells, nerve cells and nerve ending, like to help that progress and get better. And I mean, we're definitely getting better. It's just, it's a long process, a long road, and you gotta be patient with it and see what happens.
And I mean, you really work hard. I understand that you are dedicated to being independent and beating this, obviously. But you look at both sides of it. I'm sure you look at the fact that you. And if you're wondering what's going on with the drone, we've got some major gusts of wind out there.
But we've got some inbound storms. They're calling for 30-mile-an-hour winds. So if he's able to continue to fly this thing in 30-mile-an-hour winds, I'm going to go out there and pat that guy on the back. Leaders on screen. That is Stu Baylor leading the way. Josh Strang in second.
I actually just checked the radar before I got in here, and it looks like it's about to get a little hairy.
Ooh, we got some ugly stuff. So folks at home, prepare to maybe see some rain. Folks here at the track, any loose objects you have that may go flying, if you want to go ahead and secure those now, easy ups, anything of that nature, definitely try to get those tied down, because we've got some serious winds and potential for some thunderstorms and rain coming our way at a very rapid pace. We'll be here probably in less than 30 minutes.
Well, as we watch this battle for first and second on screen right now, one more quick question for Lucas. Now, growing up as a GNCC racer and facing many adversities on and off the trail throughout the progression of your career, trying to win national championships, trying to win races, sometimes maybe even just trying to finish races, do you think that has lent itself to helping you with this positive mental attitude, with this knowledge of knowing that you can overcome the situation?
For sure. I definitely think that racing GNCC has definitely helped me with that, along the lines of like always progressing each race, and then off the bike, like on the bike and off the bike training away from the race to go and be better yourself at each round. And then I had a pretty, I would say, well-dressed career so far in GNCC racing, so you kind of just have to, I mean, you have to have a positive mindset in all the races and stuff. And like, I know a lot of people in the 3-hour race don't really have a good time out there, they say, but you have to make it fun, or you're just, it's going to be hard on you. And that's kind of the way this is. You got to be positive and encourage yourself, push forward, or you're just not going to go anywhere with it, I think.
Awesome, man. I love the mentality that you got.
Lucas, before we let you go, I know one of your teammates over there at the Magna 1 Husky team there, Jordan Ashburn, currently sitting in third. I know that we're forecasting some rain coming in, and I don't know if you know or not, but Jordan likes the mud.
Jordan likes the mud.
He really likes the mud. Jordan does, in fact, like the mud, and if that happens, if we get this rain, what do you think of the chances that Jordan could possibly pull up and get himself into a battle for a win here?
Well,
how much exactly do you think Jordan likes the mud?
I don't know. Jordan really likes the mud.
He might get up in there. You never know. I mean, he's still within striking distance.
Might have a three-way battle at the end.
Yeah, if it starts raining, we could see it. We could see Jordan capitalize on that mud racing prowess and get up here in a battle with these guys on screen right now. Stu Baylor leading the way. Josh Strang in second. Lucas, again, thanks so much for coming in and speaking with us. Obviously, anytime you make it out to a GNCC, we'd love to have you stop in the booth, give us your insight on things. And, to cap off kind of what Rodney said there, I think GNCC is a test of mental strength and kind of fortitude as much as it is physical preparation and mechanical preparation and all that. And obviously you've had a very storied, decorated career in the GNCC series, and I don't doubt that all of those skills and that mindset that you put to use to put yourself in that position will serve you well in the competition you're in right now, which is to get back to all that you can can be. Right now, we see on screen Jordan likes the mud, starting to stir. It hasn't even rained yet, but the clouds have just gone dark, and that was enough to kind of light a fire under Jordan.
Yep, looks like Stu's cheering himself on down the pit lane there.
I think that might have been some kind of a signal, but you never know with Stu. He could be cheering himself on. I wouldn't be entirely shocked. Stu obviously is pretty. What do we got here? It says splash next lap. So it looks like Stu Baylor going to be coming in for a splash of gas, and that will be with the completion of lap number 4, meaning 2 laps left. So they're going to go with a 2-pit strategy for Stu. We did already see him in VP Fuels Pro Row once, looking like he's planning to come back in. There we are on screen right there. Stu Baylor leading the way, Josh Strang in second, and these guys are just chipping away at the time. 1 hour, 43 minutes into this one exactly, and these guys are just really just throwing it down, and it appears right now, unless Jordan can get a little bit of rain and get himself up in the fight, or maybe without the rain get himself up in this fight, it's appearing to be a 2-dog fight over this win here today at Camp Coker at the Bullet GNCC in Society Hill, South Carolina. And the South Carolina native, Stu Baylor, leading the way. And man, these two have really just been nip and tuck all day long, neither one wanting to let the other one get out of sight. And it seems like whenever they start to stretch it out, we go into those tighter sections of racetrack and they're right back together.
Yep, they've definitely separated themselves from the pack, and kind of looks like it's going to be a 2-man dogfight till the end unless Jordan can find something for him.
Well, we know he likes the mud.
We know that.
He really likes
There he is, Jordan on screen, coming out of VP Fuels Pro Row, and doing all that he can to try to reel that gap back down.
You know, amazing to me, Johnny, we mention it, and I probably mention it every round, how we kind of overlook and he flies under the radar, so to speak. And, you know, he's kind of done that again today, but I guess a lot of the attention has been kind of focused toward what's going on up front, because, I mean, when you got riders like Stu Baylor and Josh Strang at the intensity level that they're riding at, stretching it out over the rest of the field, it's kind of hard to look past that, because you're waiting on something to happen. I mean, when you got riders this close at this speed, at this pace, any little miscue is going to change the face of it.
Well, and we've had so many things going on, so many storylines. It's hard to follow. And Jordan, that's kind of his MO, man. He just slides in under the radar, does his thing and grinds out, and ends up number 3 for the year last year with not much fanfare and not much hype behind him. We've already seen him this year kind of really stepping his game up even more. I think we're back to that battle. Those are those leaders? Is that Baylor and Strang there on screen? It appears to be.
Yeah.
Look at that. Stu Baylor splashing a lapped rider as he goes by. And Josh Strang very nearly connects with that same lapped rider. They're saying we're starting to see some water filling up in some of these ruts. We're digging down. We know with the moisture that has come in, we're starting to actually get a little rain coming down as well. So we're going to see that water really start to rise in some of these areas.
And you notice, I mean, they started out way out here to the left, Johnny, that section of track, and it has worked its way in closer. You'd think that it would work its way out because the water is to the inside, but the track originally started out there, so they couldn't push out any farther, so they've gone in as far as they can, and they just keep finding more and more of that wet conditions out there. But, hey, it is making for a very exciting race, and I think that if the rain does start to fall, those areas right there, especially if we get any amount of rainfall, are really going to get I wouldn't say treacherous, but definitely challenging.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of sections of this Camp Coker racetrack that are low and they're soggy already with the rain we had on Friday. They're soggy normally, and with the rain we had Friday, made them even soggier. We've been seeing kind of water pump up out of the ground in some spots throughout the course of the weekend, so when it starts falling from the sky, it's only going to get deeper. We are still waiting here on the leaders at mile marker number 2, and they should be coming literally any moment. We got a waving arm, and we got a 514 Ampro Yamaha leading the way of Stu Baylor, and I tell you what, I believe he has ratcheted up the pace just a little bit, Strang. And Strang is still right there. So the South Carolina native versus the North Carolina native by way of Australia. So, yeah, I mean, everybody talks about DLCs being sand specialists. Strang right there, obviously winning this race this year, or last year. But Stu Baylor is one of those guys. He's not really from a sandy area, but he always excels on sandy tracks. Something about that just fits his riding style.
He excels, period. I mean, you put him in the rocks, you put him in the roots, you put him in the sand, you put him in the mud. I think Baylor, if he doesn't have a mechanical problem, especially as of late, if he's healthy, it's hard to slow him down. It's hard to stop him.
I think the one that really stands out to me was, I believe it would have been 3 years ago in Florida when he came out and won the Florida race. You know, and kind of nobody was expecting that. I think to that point, he'd only had one career win, I believe, to that point. I had kind of his home track at Big Buck. So, you know, not that nobody was expecting that he would battle, but he came out and dominated that race. And I think that's kind of when I can tell you that if you talk to the other XC1 guys, they consider Stu a sand specialist. Not saying he can't win on other tracks, but they feel he's strongest in the sand. Which again, it's just one of those things. You kind of carry that confidence, you carry that little bit of extra swagger, and it goes a long way.
It does. But I mean, I think he's just a race. I'm going to go out on a limb and say racetrack specialist. Period. Look at the results from the last 5 rounds of racing when we were at Backley, West Virginia. Nobody expected to see him do what he did there, and just came out and blew the doors off of everyone. There's Jordy Ashburn making his way.
Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
Monster Energy AMA Supercross in FIM World Championship.
22 riders in the starting gate.
Who wins the round at Atlanta Motor Speedway April 10th, 13th, and 17th. Visit supercrosslive.com to get your tickets today.
The Yamaha GNCC University returns, calling all ATV and motorcycle off-road racers. Are you looking to hone your riding and racing skills? Want to learn hands-on with the best of the best past and current GNCC racers and champions? Then sign up for the 2021 Yamaha GNCC University, returning to Snowshoe Mountain Resort June 23rd through the 25th. We're bringing together Yamaha's ATV and motorcycle racing elite to instruct in-depth courses and fundamentals of racing and riding. During the Yamaha GNCC University, students will participate in lectures about sportsmanship, training, proper nutrition, and mental preparation, along with hands-on skills and drills designed to improve your riding and confidence in a variety of terrain and situations. Reservations are on a first-come, first-served basis, with limited openings evenly split between the disciplines. For more details and to register, contact Snowshoe Mountain Resort at 877-441-4386. Brown's RV Superstore is family-owned and operated and stake their reputation on offering you the finest RVs available in their McBee, South Carolina RV dealership. Brown's RV Superstore carries motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, and toy haulers, and keep a huge inventory of new and used RVs in stock for you to choose from. They offer top dollar for your RV trade-in and help you get the RV financing you need. As a part of the GNCC family, Brown's RV Superstore, in partnership with Vengeance Toy Haulers, offers sponsorship packages for every level of racer with discounts and continued savings on your new toy hauler. Brown's RV Superstore has dedicated themselves to complete customer satisfaction, specializing in providing a positive start to your RV adventure. They look forward to customers coming back to share their tales from the road. Call Brown's RV Superstore today at 877-805-3658 or visit their website at brownsrvsuperstore.com, where family fun begins.
Welcome everybody to RacerTV Fast Brats. I'm your host for Fast Brats, Ryan Amoncio, and today we are here with Andrew Seegers that racing YXC2 on a 105 KTM. So today we're going to see how he liked the track, what he feels, and some other things. So Andrew, how did you like the track?
It was good. I liked it in some spots. Some spots were a little bit wet and soft, but all in all, it was a good day.
I heard you had some problems because you did have the lead, but you had some problems or whatever and made you into 16th on the second lap. What happened there?
Yeah, my throttle got stuck and my bike was stuck wide open, and I dropped back to 16th and just climbed my way up as fast as I could and made it up to 4th.
What was going through your head when you were all the way back in that pack?
Just try to save the day and make the best out of the situation.
If you had any other sport, like if you didn't do dirt bikes at all, what sport would you probably do?
Probably BMX.
Good decision. And question, why are you so tall? Where are you guys from?
We're from the Low State, and apparently most people in South Carolina, whenever they play football and stuff down in the Low State, they don't like it because we're all tall. I don't know where we get it from because my family's kind of short, but I'm just a little big on a mini.
Yeah, sure does look like it. And how old are you?
I just turned 14, so I'm AMA 13.
But that's basically everything we have here for Andrew Seegers. Thank you guys for watching this Fast Brats episode. I'll see you guys next race.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Has the rain really coming down there for a few moments, has lightened up, and DQ from, the Bottleneck Live and also over at the Magna One Motorsports team says that's just the little one coming. We got some big ones coming now. Joined in studio now by Miss Becca Sheets, winner of this morning's WXC, and overall, congratulations to you on a big win this morning. And that was a pretty amazing battle today, and I have to say an amazing win as well.
Yeah, thank you. It was a really awesome race. We were kind of all together from right off the start, and we had a good battle for the first couple laps. And Rachel and I just kind of pulled away from the rest of the pack, and we just kind of duked it out between us, and came down to the last lap. And
to me, I mean, we saw this coming late last year, and you know, I know the spirit of and the type of competitor that you are. You're fierce. There's no doubt about it. And I wondered, how will Becca react to the competition? Will she hate Rachel's guts and want to claw her eyes out, or will she welcome the competition? And I tell you, it seems like you really welcome the competition, because win, lose, or draw, whenever I talk to you after a battle with Rachel or anybody else out there, you've got the biggest smile on your face, and I love that.
Heck yeah, I'm so happy that Rachel's here, and she's just killing it. And she's just a very dedicated rider, and obviously it shows. And she's still young, and you know, I don't want to lose, but I think it's really awesome. And any of the girls right now, like I would not be ashamed to lose to any of them. They're all really great riders, and our women's class is just really awesome right now. So
18 riders signed up this morning. I think Mackenzie signed up but didn't get a chance to race Tricker. So 17. That was just a WXC Pro. We had a women's 35-plus class and a women's novice class, I believe, that also ran, and I think maybe a women's class also. So, I mean, there's a lot of since I think this has all happened in the last 5 years or so since we've seen these numbers explode the way that they have.
Yeah, for sure. It's really gotten big in the last 3 years, but 5 years, yeah, it just keeps on getting bigger and bigger. And you know, when I first started racing GNCC, there was only one women's class, and that's just the way it was. So it's amazing to see how far it's come, and I think it will just continue to grow. And I think the women will get faster and be able to get the sponsorships that they really deserve, and you know, just keep growing the sport.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I look back, I remember one of the pioneers of the women's class, Mandy Maston, you know, a true champion of the class, no doubt about it. And seeing, you know, I know she's moved on in life and, you know, having a family of her own, but I know in hearing and people talking about, she's pretty stoked about the way things have gone as far as the women's class and the WXC and the growth of it and everything. So a lot of those ladies are proud of what you guys have been able to achieve and carry on here. So, and the amazing thing is the ridiculousness of the battle. I mean, how can you battle that fiercely week after week after week after week like that?
I don't know. It's just part of the grind. You have to keep going. You know, if you're here racing, you got to race to win. And that's something that Caleb kind of shared with me at the beginning of the year. And he's like, hey, if you're going to go race, you got to race to win this year, because this is my final year of racing. So.
Oh, really? I did not realize that.
Yeah. Yep, this is it. So, you know, I'm just out here to have fun and try to win everything that I can.
Well, there you go. Well, certainly gives you a little more incentive to win that championship.
Yeah.
And I hope whatever it is that you have on your plate for the future, it all works out well for you. And your tenure so far has been great as a champion and as a racer, and just having you around. Hopefully that because you're leaving the racing doesn't mean you're leaving the racing world, though.
Yeah, I'm sure I won't escape that easily.
Well, Becca, thank you very much, and congratulations on your win today.
Thank you.
All righty. Well, folks, right now we got the battle still going on. The rain showers are coming in, they're coming out, and we'll see how it all pans out. We've got right out of 1 hour of racing left to go here in South Carolina, and all the questions still remain to be answered. The biggest one, who's going to come out on top? We won't know until the checkers fly. Stick around. GNCC Racing continues after this.
Rocky Mountain ATV MC, retailer, distributor, manufacturer, product developer, parts tester. This is what we do. But who we are is something much simpler. We're riders, like you. 100% employee owned and operated, a company built by riders, entirely for riders. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
The directive: advance human performance beyond biological limitation.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Kinetic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Kinetic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Kinetic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Kinetic. Kinetic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
This week in Yamaha history takes us back to the 2007 Yadkin Valley Stomp GNCC. The Yadkin Valley, recognized as the wine country of the Southeast, hosted the Stomp GNCC, which left a lasting impression in its short-lived history. A young Yamaha-mounted Charlie Mullins took to the early lead, but it was Ohio's Jimmy Jarrett who took early control in the North Carolina Hill Country. Mullins and teammate Barry Hawk were close in tow. A little further back in the pack, a battle ensuing between Garrett Edmonston of Florida and New Zealand's Paul Whibley was well underway as they battled for the spots just off the podium. Nearing the midway point of the race, Ampro Yamaha's Charlie Mullins had taken over the lead with Jimmy Jarrett in second now, and Garrett Edmondson had battled his way up to third as Barry Hawk dropped to the fourth place position nearly 25 seconds down. A near 1 minute lead gave Charlie Mullins room for small mistakes and tip-overs in his final and closing moments as he pushed toward checkers and the overall win in this challenging GNCC race day. Paul Whibley would finish second, and Yamaha's Barry Hawk rounded out the podium in third. And that's this week in Yamaha history.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Yadkin Valley Stomp GNCC, watching that This Week in Yamaha History segment. Brings back a lot of memories. That old creek jump down there, the vineyards around the Yadkin Valley, and just an amazing thing. And if you hear the rain in the background, it is bouncing off the roof of our studios here right now as it is really pouring down outside, at least for the moment. We had seen the showers break for just a moment, but as DQ said, it's just the small one coming through. So we'll see what happens. Now, honestly, looking at this track, Johnny, it doesn't seem to be at this point and juncture really having any effect on the course itself, I don't think.
I don't think it's going to change the course too much, but I think it is going to change vision. It's going to make it a lot harder on goggles, especially when the rain is falling, hitting those guys that don't have goggles on. It's incredibly hard to ride without goggles in this kind of a driving rain. And it's the sand, when it mixes with rain, as we're seeing here, it becomes incredibly abrasive on everything. Brake pads, your skin, when it gets in your gloves, it's very tough. And these bands that are coming through, I mean, these guys are driving. Imagine when you're driving down the road and you hear that rain hitting your windshield. Those are your eyeballs when you don't have goggles on. So definitely keeping goggles on is of utmost importance if you're able to do so. And Rodney, I don't think you've had an opportunity yet while we're doing the waiting on the leaders here to do the amateur rundown, but I would like to point out, I was walking through the pits last night, and one of the riders, his wife actually asked me, he's won the first 3 rounds in that senior B class, William Hollenbeck, and his mom had asked if we could talk a little bit more about Willie, since he had won the first 3 races, and I did happen to just see a moment ago when it scrolled through that he is leading again in that senior B 40 plus class. And I think we're going to do that amateur rundown, but I just wanted to do my due diligence. So William Hollenbeck, if your mom, or William Hollenbeck's mom, if you're watching at home and you're watching Racer TV while you're seeing everybody kind of prepping, we see Cameron Strang there with the goggles. She's trying to keep them dry, anticipating Josh Strang to arrive in VP Fuels Pro Row. But William Hollenbeck's mom, we're talking about him here. He's got 3 wins and on his way to potentially 4. He's got a pretty good lead there in that senior B 40 plus class.
All right, less than an hour to go as far as the race time on the clock is. We see that our leaders are due in at the finish line. Looks like we might have a new leader too, Johnny Gallagher.
Yeah, Josh Strang leading the way, unless we miss Stu Baylor. And Josh Strang does still have goggles on, so that is going to be of key importance, as we talked about here. 4 laps complete, 2 hours and 6 minutes in, coming into complete lap number 5. So they are going to be, I'm assuming, a 6-lap race is what it's going to be, but we'll wait and hear the official word from GNCC on that. And Stu going by there. Did Stu have goggles on? I didn't see.
I didn't notice.
It was hard to tell if Stu did or did not have goggles on, but that could very much be playing into what we're seeing here in the little bit of gap that Josh Strang was able to open up. We saw Cameron Strang with those goggles in hand, ready to put them on Josh, but as of right now, he's been done a good job of taking care of his and keeping them on.
Well, Hart and Chip on Shoulder basically still out front leading this one. And, I think, Johnny, as we approach, the final moments of this race, the final hour of this race, I think that we can take into account what I said as far as the Hart and the Chip on the Shoulder as bringing these guys to the front of the pack. And we can also take into account, maybe at this juncture, the physical conditioning. And this might be, now that the rain has started to fall, we're in
look at that. Almost zero visibility coming into the finish line.
So this might be the factor between these 2 particular riders.
Folks, 2 to go.
Yeah. So that was Josh Strang checking in as we wait for our computer to update now. So Josh Strang in 26:11 lap time. So his lap time hadn't really slowed down very much.
But that is definitely going to make this race all of 3 hours and then some. So, we're going to I didn't anticipate seeing a white flag, but the 2 to go confirms it will be a 6-lap race, and will be upwards of 3 hours when this one completes itself.
10 seconds back is where we see Stu Baylor right now as he checked in behind Josh Strang. Strang into the pits now. And he's getting a quick splash of gas, obviously some fresh goggles. And Johnny, I guess wet gloves are wet gloves. They don't have to worry about mud, so no changing of gloves today, huh?
Yeah, it's rare that you see riders change gloves anymore unless they go down. Look at this, that gap is opening up. Ooh, one thing to notice, Stu Baylor putting roll-offs on. Josh Strang going with another set of tear-offs, so we'll see how that strategy plays itself out. Stu, with the roll-offs, will have, they say it's upwards of 100 pulls. You can only stack about 21 to, I think the max I've ever seen is 28 laminated tear-offs on a pair of goggles. However, Stu has the more potential for water to get behind that film. The different brands have different systems to try to guard against that, but Stu Baylor running those 100% forecast, I believe they call them, roll-offs. Bevo Forte was in here earlier from 100%. So there's a lot of different brands out there. So right now the battle for the goggles for the win is between the tear-offs and the X brand of Josh Strang. And the reason why I say that is I truly do believe that vision from here on out could become a major factor in who has the ability to push the pace and continue to either ride away in the case of Josh Strang, or reel in and make a pass in the case of Stu Baylor. Jordan Ashburn should be coming in, checking in here just about any moment if he has not already. Looks like Lyndon Snodgrass, we do know, is 3rd overall on corrected time. It was getting very, very close to physically being 3rd overall. He was right behind Jordan Ashburn when we last saw them on screen. So we'll wait and we'll watch here 2 hours and 10 minutes. I see a bright helmet coming, and I believe that is Jordan Ashburn. It is on that Magna 1 Lubricants Husqvarna, and hot on his heels, the 530 of Ben Kelly. So Ben Kelly saying, no, Jordan, you might like the mud, but I like the podium. Lyndon Snodgrass, new leader, XC2 right behind him. Those 3 guys checking in formation, making Lyndon Snodgrass on corrected time your 3rd place overall rider. But whoa, look at this. On a charge, the 969 of Johnny Gerard coming across the finish line. He is starting to once again reel in the 178 Babbitt's Monster Energy Kawasaki rider of Lyndon Snodgrass, who's leading the way in that XC2 Pro Lights class. Grant Baylor coming through, goggles on his arm. We expect to see him in VP Fuels Pro Row here in a few moments, getting some fresh goggles. Again, we can see just how wild the rain is right now and the wind, and it's wreaking havoc on these guys, their vision, and the course.
Yes, most certainly, and it opens up a lot of windows of opportunities for different riders in these closing moments like this out here, Johnny. But it also offers up maybe a little bit more for confusion or something along that idea. 88.3 is the radio frequency if you're wanting to tune in and sit in your cars and listen to the final moments of this race rather than set out in the rain itself. Big Kelly in the pits cutting gallery.
Yeah, Ben Kelly on screen in the pits in VP Fuels Pro Row, and looking like maybe I didn't see Jordan Ashburn there. Jordan Ashburn would actually be pitting on the other side. The Magna 1 team is there. It looks like they have, he pitched his goggles, and Cameron Strang nice enough to run him back and drop him off at the factory KTM semi there. There's Ben Kelly's mom carrying those and saying, well, we'll get these cleaned up and ready for another day, but not today. He took a fresh pair of those Scott roll-offs. So again, as the riders coming through, we didn't see what Jordan Ashburn did as far as goggles, if he did or didn't stop. Mikey Wayne's there, but we do know that the leader, Josh Strang, took a fresh pair of tear-offs. Stu Baylor, fresh pair of roll-offs, and Josh Toth, fresh pair of roll-offs. So we got 2 pairs of roll-offs and a pair of tear-offs out there right now in the top 3, 4. We don't know. Oh, look at that. That is the class we were talking about, Senior B 40 plus. And I might have jinxed him. William Hollenbach's dropped back to the 2nd place spot. It looks like S. Downland taking the lead in that 40 plus B class.
By the way, Big Boy and our GNCC resident fast brat Ryan Amancio in the pits there. Maybe we'll get an update from Mikey here in just a moment as to what the mood is down in the pit area since the rain started to fall. I know we were talking there just a few moments ago. He said, not a whole lot going on down in the pro pit area itself. He said he was getting ready to chime in and recognized that we had picked up on what was going on. So hadn't really had a lot of reports as we head into the Monster Mile.
Josh Strang leading the way, the 114. Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki rider leading the way, taking a look over his right shoulder as he passes some lappers to check what the gap is back to the 514 of Stu Baylor. Still no Baylor yet. There is Baylor. So they're able to see each other. They know the gap. Strang starting to stretch it out a little bit. So Stu is going to push and try to get back to that rear wheel, because at the completion of this lap, it's going to come down to a 1-lap sprint for the checkered flag. We'll see a white flag waving in about, we're at the 2-mile marker. It's about a 10-mile track, so we got about 8 miles to go until we see these guys at the finish line for a white flag waving.
Well, I know that I may be jumping ship, and I'm not. I'm still thinking that Stu might have an opportunity to win this, but at the same time, take nothing away from Josh Strang and what he's been able to achieve here today. And it goes back to what I said at the beginning of the season when we wrote the article. Like I said, Josh Strang was probably one of my top picks as far as a contender for a championship out here this year. And it's not necessarily because I expect to see him win a lot of races. What I expect to see him is 1st and 2nd place positions, or at least right there to where consistency will be what pays the huge dividends at the end of this season.
Absolutely, Rodney. And I think, I got to tell you, Josh Strang is kind of barring last weekend's or 2 weekends ago's performance, and not on him, but in terms of his finish, he's been just right there. He's been consistent. He's been on the podium, and that's kind of what Josh Strang does. We talked about that at the beginning of the year. Stu, we knew he was going to be fast, but there was questions about can Stu put an entire season together. In some people's minds, he was dominant at the end of last season, but we've never actually seen him do that for 13 rounds. He obviously came in injured, missed a round, then had a mechanical mishap at round number 3. So it's been a bit of a struggle for Stu, and now he's back, again, winning the last race there, round 3, and then up here leading much of this race and still within striking distance of a win. But to speak from us, Jordan Ashburn on screen, I was going to say while we wait for our third place rider, but he showed up and he also is rocking the roll-offs. So everybody except for Strang in the top 5, it looks like, has opted to go with roll-offs as the rain set itself in here. We'll see how that pans out. But one thing I do want to say right now, while we have a moment where we should be waiting for Ben Kelly as well, coming through in that 4th place spot. It seems sometimes there is Ben Kelly right there. So top 4 through on screen, and he is still within sight of Jordan Ashburn. When we give our opinions, I think sometimes people take that as who we want to see win, which may or may not be the case. But as announcers, as color commentators, as people that we're here to hype up the race for those of you at home, look at this. Whoa, Grant Baylor.
Wow.
He's coming.
Grizzly.
The Grizzly has gotten angry. Somebody didn't feed him, and now he's hungry, and he's hungry for a podium, and he is within striking distance of a podium. No question.
Wow.
He is less than 30 seconds off of putting himself in the battle for that 3rd place spot with Ben Kelly and Jordan Ashburn, and he was miles seemingly behind just about an hour ago. So, and guess where we are, Rodney? What hour are we in?
We're in hour number 3, and that's exactly where he shines the brightest.
Grant Baylor. Did not see that one coming. He's kind of just been quietly lurking back there.
Well, this takes us back what year, I believe, when he made the switch from XC2 to XC1. When he finished with the number 2, we're talking, what, 6 years ago or so? I think it was 2015 or so.
2015, 2016.
Yeah, he actually was a great consistent rider, riding, if memory serves me correct, for the Ampro Yamaha team. Captured the number 2 behind Caleb Russell. Kind of, I think, in a fashion that we would say that maybe Jordan Ashburn captured the number 3 this season, kind of under the radar because all eyes were so tightly and focused on Caleb and what he was doing that year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's very true. He did it kind of quietly that year, and this year, Grant's a guy that 100% flew under the radar coming into round 1. Sure, there was some hype around the team, but I don't know that anyone expected. You cannot absolutely downplay Grant Baylor. He's a force on the racetrack, but I did not expect the kind of speed and consistency that we've seen, and I still just question, man, if Grant could get that first hour figured out, could anyone touch him?
That is a big question. Well, I tell you what, round 1 might answer the question for you, Johnny. There's no doubt about that. As we are, 2 hours 18, pushing 2 hours 19 minutes into this race. Josh Strang leading Stu Baylor. Jonathan Gerard and Lyndon Snodgrass battling it out for the win in the XC2 are also looking at the possibility of a 3rd overall. Will Jordan Ashburn be able to bridge that gap on time and reclaim the podium position overall finish? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues after this.
This is Grizzly Grant Baylor, and you're watching GNCC Live on RacerTV.com.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We changed the industry by formulating the first API-qualified 100% synthetic motor oil. The rest of the market has been trying to follow our lead ever since. But a head start is a head start. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond. Because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. Like especially in the summertime in Florida where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees and you're doing 230s and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall I think where I improved the most was my consistency in my recovery.
Welcome back to GNCC Live from Society Hill, South Carolina. The FMF Camp Coker Bull at GNCC here at the Maury Sportsman Preserve as we pick the action up. I believe we're out near, I should be coming out near the 4-mile marker here pretty soon to see our leaders. And, whoa, I know...
That's our wind again. They're trying to keep that drone stable in 30+ mile an hour winds as the gusts kick up, possibly even more than that. But 30 mile an hour sustained winds off and on here this afternoon, making the not only the riding conditions treacherous with the rain that they blew in, but also the droning condition, flying conditions difficult for our drone operator. But doing a great job showing us the action on that Yamaha Racing live drone, and the footage is invaluable because it shows these guys making passes and picking lines and just absolutely dissecting this Camp Coker racetrack. And right now, the man that's doing it the best, Josh Strang, number 114, leading the way, and Stu Baylor hot in pursuit. We're joined back in booth here with Mikey Waynes. Mikey had a little bit of a hot take coming in from the pits there, and Stu Baylor coming in with a little bit of sense of urgency. He came into pit there and was needing some things.
Yeah, he had no goggles on as he was approaching the pits, and he was swiping his hand across his eyes saying, towel, towel, towel. So I got to think camped out there in second place behind Strang, maybe picking up some sand in the eye, definitely a possibility, but nothing too serious. I mean, they were able to get him the goggles, and it didn't look, his eyes weren't bloodshot or anything, but without a doubt, it was an irritant for him.
Well, I can tell you, there is Strang on screen. Josh Strang leading the way, the number 114. Hard to make it out because he's getting a little more brown there, covered in some more mud, some more sand, and a little more water. There he is around the outside, carrying his speed and pushing himself and pushing the gap between him and Stu Baylor ever bigger, it seems like, every camera shot. And I got to tell you, part of that could, in fact, be the fact that Stu Baylor had a little bit of sand in the eyes there. Not that it's going to cause him to DNF or it's a major thing, but a little bit of discomfort goes a long way on a race like this. And if you've got that sand in your eyes, not only that, when it's on your face, it can start bouncing up and getting on the inside of your goggles. I believe that is Stu right there. It is. So Stu not too far behind, still well within striking distance, well within sight of Strang in some of these longer field sections, but he has got some ground to make up if he wants to get to the rear wheel of Strang and start battling for that position. A little bit of personal experience here. Yesterday, last lap, pitched the goggles, was hot, just thought I could use the fresh air, and I actually got in a battle with another rider, got roosted a few times. Some lappers were doing some roosting. I kind of put it out of my mind until I crossed the finish line, but as soon as I crossed the finish line, my eyes were just red, bloodshot. Nothing like in a mud race where we see guys have to, get their eyes washed out. But this sand, it's gritty. Yeah. It might sound stupid to say, but sand is gritty, and when it gets in your eyes, it's like having sandpaper inside your eyes. It'll scratch at you and can be very annoying and very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was definitely some discomfort. I don't know if you guys, surely our cameras caught how windy it got out there. Let alone it was a daggone monsoon. So the face of this race completely changed. So those guys, maybe that was in the back of the head too. As you get that early lead, you're thinking, okay, there is that chance of rain today. If I'm Stu Baylor, if I'm Josh Strang, I got to put as much time in between me and the rest of the pack because I know there is that possibility of rain late in this one, and if that's the case, that's going to draw us in closer, so I need as much of a cushion as I can get.
Mikey, we spent a lot of time trying to kind of theorize what exactly goes through these guys' head. But I got to tell you, today you and I did not do a great job of predicting and theorizing things. We predicted that it was going to be Ben Kelly that was going to come through. Still a lot of racing left here. No, we're not giving away trophies here, although T-Shep Tyler Shepardson from the On the Pipe podcast has joined us back in studio. And there's only one reason why Tyler Shepardson could possibly be back here in studio. We didn't invite him back. He has come back to brag and to gloat. I believe that was Jordan Ashburn that just went by there. Yeah. I recognize that very, very bright helmet there, that Alpine Stars helmet. Bright, can't miss it, in the third place spot. I don't know if we missed Lyndon Snodgrass. He was physically with Jordan Ashburn and Ben Kelly when we last saw them. So Lyndon may possibly have actually gone through that camera shot. Don't know if they knew to look for the number 178 Babbitts, Monster Energy Kawasaki. But we do know this is our third place rider in XC1. Don't know where that will put him in the overall. We think probably fourth based on the fact that Snodgrass was right there with him when we saw him last. And there is... Nope, that is not. Johnny Gerard. There's Gerard, there's Snodgrass, and there's Ben Kelly. So that would be your first and second place rider in XC2, and those guys are thrown down, putting them third and fourth away. Ashburn back in fifth, and Ben Kelly in sixth place overall as they run uncorrected time on the track right now. But the man leading the way, the 114 Monster Energy Babbitts Online Kawasaki of Josh Strang and Tyler Shepardson from On the Pipe podcast in here. Tyler, you said that the chip on you didn't. I don't think you used the word chip, but the extra motivation that Josh Strang had today, you felt was going to propel him to kind of be the class of the field today. And at least as of right now, 2 hours and 26 minutes into this one, you're looking pretty smart. So what are your thoughts? You getting pretty confident about this one so far?
Oh man, I just stopped by. I didn't even know that was going on.
Oh yeah, right.
No, I mean, just as we were talking about earlier we were talking about a hot, brutal, humid, muggy race, a lot of dust going on, and then all of a sudden the sky let out, and now it's turned into a race of survival. So where fitness played a big role earlier, obviously that's still going to play a big role now, but right now I think everyone is also in survival mode. So while he is out front, this is when you get into that debate again, leading versus following. I mean, you got all these lappers, now you got conditions. Some of our rough spots are going to get even rougher, the muddy spots are going to get even muddier, and now the good spots are starting to get broken down as well. So it's still anyone race. We still have a little bit of racing left to go, but I guess the early prediction's looking all right.
Worth noting, you mentioned how hot and muggy it was when those rainstorms came through. I think we lost about at least 10 degrees in the temperature, and actually I believe the forecast shows that. I think we were up over 80, and I think they're saying it's 67, 68 degrees right now is what they're forecasting, at least. I don't have a thermometer here, but they're saying it's dropped to below 70. So that's a big drop in temperature. Those riders are going to feel that, and I think it's going to re-energize a lot of these guys. It's going to kind of say, hey man, I was anticipating another hour of grinding in this heat, and now it's cooled down. I got a nice shower. I feel refreshed. Mother Nature provided me with a nice cleaning shower, washed out my eyeballs in the case of Stu Baylor, and they're I think we might see this battle heat back up just when we think that it's over.
All it took was me coming back in the booth, and then the rain cleared out. I never should have left. It'd still be hot outside. As soon as I got back here, I'm like, oh, okay, now it stops.
Hey,
I'll take it.
When we send you out, you are the man of the people, the man of the elements.
Mold everything.
You're the on-scene, on-site, break-it-down guy.
Goodness.
And when the weather's going to go to heck in a handbasket, we need you out there in the elements. You need to be like that hurricane reporter that has the umbrella, and they're leaned in, and they're like, 90-mile-an-hour sustained winds, stay indoors, but they're standing there with the little $4 Walmart umbrella.
Yes.
That needs to be you.
I can tell you right now, Pro Row, there are very few banners left. I mean, it is just cleared out. And yeah, I went literally into weather reporting down there, and that's always, whenever I go into the pits, there's two scenarios of, okay, Mikey's coming to talk to us. Either my rider, something has happened and I don't know about it and I don't want to talk to him, or hey, my rider's doing really, really well, can't wait to talk to this guy. So that's all I get. It's love or hate. I'm good with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the life of a journalist, my man. Here, you embody all things great for exposure and all things terrible for news.
Terrible for news. That's it. Nailed it.
So here we are at the mile marker number 4. We're waiting and watching for the riders to come through here. We know that Josh Strang is leading the way. Stu Baylor in second. Last we saw them, we would say that gap was, I didn't put a clock on it, but 8-10 seconds, somewhere in that realm. And then just behind, well, not just behind Stu Baylor, but a little, well, if we look at our gaps, actually, at the completion of the previous lap, Lyndon Snodgrass had been in that third place overall position, but we now know that Johnny Gerard has actually made his way around Snodgrass and is up into the third place overall. Jordan Ashburn is the third place rider in XC1, and he was some 2 minutes and 6 seconds back of Stu Baylor. So Jordan may like the mud, but Jordan has 2 minutes and 6 seconds to make up if he wants to interject himself into that battle for the lead, and that is a long distance to cover on a racetrack, on any racetrack, but a racetrack as rough and tumble as this Camp Coker track is right now.
All right, Johnny, Florida or Camp Coker, South Carolina? I know conditions have changed today, but I know a lot of the ATV guys yesterday were saying this was rougher than Florida.
100%.
100%.
This
Same for the bike guys today, you think?
It was a different rough. Florida, you expect, coming in that it is going to be a test physically and mentally, which all GNCC races are. But Florida's going to take, whatever you have to give, Florida's going to take all of it. You won't have anything left when you cross the line, whether you finish first or 50th. That's just how it is. That place is going to sap your energy. It's going to sap, to some degree, your will to ever want to race an ATV or motorcycle again. And then about 12 hours after the race, you're like, all right, we got to race again in 6 days, so I'm going to start getting a positive attitude. But this place, something about it this weekend, the way the rain fell, again, coming back to that stretch of track from about the 4.5 to the 7, at least on an ATV, I can tell you that that just took everything we had to give to muscle those machines through that section. Incredibly tight, massive holes everywhere. Lapped riders were just giving us havoc through there, and mentally it just sapped everything we had. So that being said, answer your question in short form. This track and this day, given the heat and everything yesterday, and I venture to say that a lot of the bike guys would feel the same, was tougher than Florida. And Florida was exponentially tougher this year than it has been in recent years.
And then you had Georgia a week after, and everybody said, this was tougher than Florida.
Georgia was tougher than Florida, but I personally feel I struggled with my hands. I got some blisters in Georgia. Don't exactly know why. Maybe it was the back-to-back Florida-Georgia, and I don't normally blister. But in terms of the mental test that it took, oh, look at this. New leader. Nope. Okay, didn't see Strang. So Strang, don't want to get everybody excited at home. Strang still leading the way, Baylor in second. But for me personally, this track, this day, took more out of me yesterday than Georgia did, which took more out of me than Florida.
See, I mean, he's even missing Strang going through. That's how much it is.
I'm blind. Normally, I'm the guy that catches all that, and I'm over here just blind.
Hey, just to point out, our temperature has dropped from about 85 down to 73. Only lost 12 degrees, but with the wind and being wet out there, it seems a little chillier in that if you happen to be a little moist out there. So that's kind of interesting how the temperature range dropped that much.
And refreshing to the riders because, now they have wet jerseys, which, although not comfortable and ideal, it is nice for the fact of, it's kind of like air conditioning. You're out in those fields and you got a wet jersey. The wind whipping through it it literally is the concept of air conditioning.
Yep, exactly.
It nails it.
And looking at the forecast over the next hour, we should have this drizzle and get a little heavier, but for the next 45 minutes or so before it starts to fade away, basically. So I think throughout the remainder of this race, we're going to be seeing some rain showers. So again, vision is going to be critical, as we pointed out. And right now it's just surviving. And there is Josh Strang checking in now.
We'll see what the gap is. 2 hours, 32 minutes, 54 seconds as he goes out of our shot there. So we're at coming up on 10 seconds here. We are at 10.
Yep, so it's opening up. It was at 10 at the end of the last lap, 10 and a half. More like 15 right now.
Yeah, 15, 16. So yeah, it's continuing to open up. You have to wonder if that's a function of Stu Baylor trying to save something up for a last lap charge, or is this Stu throwing everything he has at it? And Josh Strang is at this point at least able to just kind of ride away from him inch by inch, second by second.
Well, about 2 minutes back is where we'll see the battle for that third place position. Jordan Ashburn coming through. We saw Grant Baylor on the move as well, and Ben Kelly and the boys all within striking distance. But looking at this, it looks like that Grant Baylor made up about 30 seconds over the course of this lap already. If he'd made up that much time when we seen him making that push, that was somewhere near the halfway point of the lap, I think. Imagine what it's going to be if he continues that pace. As we continue to go on, he might actually have Ashburn reeled in to the point of maybe putting on the pressure.
There's Ashburn on screen on the left. He just went by. I actually did not see Grant in our other camera shot that we had. Doesn't mean that we didn't miss him because that's a double shot and they pan from one side to the other. So it's hard to tell. That was not him judging by the riding style.
No. So the push that I expected could possibly be.
So Johnny Gerard.
Yep.
Johnny Gerard's the next rider by. So he would be third place for sure on corrected time. Strang leading the way. Mile marker number 8. But you were talking about those overall positions, Rodney, or the XC1 positions. To those of you watching at home, if you're just tuning in with us, third place rider Jordan Ashburn, third place in XC1, but third place overall is Johnny Gerard. And also, we didn't see him in that last camera shot, but Lyndon Snodgrass is lurking somewhere right there. He's led his fair share of laps today. So there's very much a battle going on for that win in XC2, which has propelled those guys up solidly to third and fourth place overall. So right now, the front two are clear on time by a good gap. They've got that padding. They don't have to worry about Snodgrass and Gerard or vice versa, whichever order they're in every time we see them, nipping them for the win or for second. But right now, Gerard and Snodgrass are third and fourth solidly in the overall positions.
I go back to when we were throwing out those predictions, and of course, you and I, Johnny, we kind of messed up, at least for now, maybe. Anyways, we kind of hinted at, well, if we're talking mental toughness, physical toughness, Johnny Gerard from XC2.
Sure.
Well, right now, I mean, goodness, he's sitting fourth in the overall, but then Lyndon Snodgrass says, hang on, anything you can do, I can do better, at least for today.
Well, actually,
impressive.
On screen, it looks like Gerard has made the pass
back.
Yeah,
you were right. You're right. I forgot about
that. At least,
that.
unless, again, we were waiting to see, oh, look at that. There is Baylor. Was that Strang just ahead of him?
I think so. I think it's, we're getting down to mano-y-mano.
I think that was Strang. There is Strang right there. So that gap is no longer 12 or 14 seconds. It's 6 or 7.
Well, there's where lap traffic and conditions may be starting to play a little bit of a role into this one, Johnny.
What's our gap, Rodney?
Our gap officially coming from timing and scoring at this particular point is, drum roll, 6.2 seconds. So he's cut that gap in half.
In a half a mile.
Yeah.
But that's the tale of lappers, I think. Not saying that Stu couldn't make up that kind of time. I think, judging by the way, these riders that are just now coming through, they likely passed in that last mile, meaning that, it could have just been where they hit him on the track. Josh could have had a miscue, whatever it may be. But, folks, fill your drinks, pop your popcorn, because you're getting to see a absolute down-to-the-wire battle between two of the sport's great, with Josh Strang leading the way, Stu Baylor in second. Both of these guys very much wanting to come away today as a winner, not only for the maximum points, not only for their own reasons, which we know we talked about earlier. Stu Baylor, just pure heart. He wants to push himself back into this championship battle. He won last race. He's had some serious setbacks early in the season. Got that first win and said, now I just need to keep winning, get myself back in this championship hunt. Josh Strang was a championship favorite to start the year, and he's just kind of been there grinding, has not yet gotten the top step of the podium to get that win. Jordan Ashburn on screen here at mile marker number 8. Again, about 2 minutes back of our battle for the lead. But each of these guys very much wanting it, but the reality of it is, Mikey, Rodney, we got less than a lap to go, and only one of these guys can come away with the win. I really think it's going to come down to who wants it more.
I think you're right, and you got to think, last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say, when Stu Baylor had that huge lead out front, we kind of talked about, well, he's so far back in points, he's probably thinking in his head, of course, that's speculating, like, I know what the heck I'm talking about, but I'm thinking, well, Stu in his head, he's probably just thinking, I just got to start clicking off wins. There's no way he's doing the math for the points chase, and sure enough, post-race interview, he's like, yeah, well, if I did this and I did that, and this person finished here, and I'm thinking, okay, so I got to think that's exactly where Stu's head is at right now. He's doing the math, and he's saying, okay, second's not bad, but I got to go get first.
You know what math everybody's doing right now if you're Josh Strang or you're Stu Baylor? 30 points 30. is what a win is. That's what they want. That's what they're after. On screen, we did just see Johnny Gerard came by and literally the next rider on track behind him, but with no goggles on, Lyndon Snodgrass. So if you think this XC2 battle, Johnny Gerard putting in a heroic ride right now. Third place overall. We talked last year about him getting 5th place overall here at this very event, at this race. Jordan Ashburn on screen coming to the finish line, and how phenomenal that was. Today he's third. and he's physically fourth. He is the next rider behind Jordan Ashburn here, but we're going to see him cross the finish line. He will be third on corrected time, but he can't even let up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because literally 2 feet behind him on the track is the 178 Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki of Lyndon Snodgrass, and the man is on a mission, really wants his first GNCC XC2 win.
He's going after it right now. That's no doubt about it. Good day.
28:37 for Jordan Ashburn, still third in class. 2 minutes and 49 seconds now down in the number 3 spot in class. But as our first and second place rides in the XC2 check in, Johnny, I believe we're going to see that changing.
There we go. Johnny Gerard's checked in. Lyndon Snodgrass checked in.
And they are running third and fourth place overall. 28:37 lap times for both of those riders. As well, ironically, Gerard, Snodgrass, and Jordan Ashburn, 28:37. Actually, Snodgrass to 28:57, so something happened there that dropped him off 20 seconds off the pace in that last lap of racing. It's raining, and there's lap traffic, so there's a lot of variables that could affect.
And he doesn't have goggles on currently. We saw that when he came by.
So with that, 1 lap to go, and it looks like we're going to see a XC2 250 Pro rider gracing the presence of the overall podium today in that number 3 position. And looking a little further back as we continue to see riders checking in on our timing and scoring, we're not seeing a lot of the front riders check in. Ben Kelly checks in sixth place overall, which puts him in the 4th place position of the class, and he is 47 seconds, almost 49 seconds behind Jordan Ashburn at this point.
Yeah, that's Ben was right there with Ashburn a couple miles ago, and it appears he lost some ground there in the last couple miles. So again, as you pointed out, a wet racetrack, lappers, a lot of things going on, and Jordan Ashburn seems to have hooked up. He can see Johnny Gerard coming behind him. Lyndon Snodgrass actually was physically with him a lap ago until a miscue for him, but is also still right there. So he's feeling the pressure from those XC2 guys. Leader on screen, Josh Strang, the 114 machine out front, and a blazing pace this last lap coming in the Monster Energy Mile. Feels comfortable in this section of track as he's a Monster sponsored athlete. Feels right at home. He's got those Monster banners. Feels like he's right there in that Kawasaki semi.
There you go. I tell you, Josh Strang proving, proving that he's still got everything that he needs to do to win championships and win races here. We see that Stu Baylor also still proving the fact that he's still got a lot of heart to dig into, but that's still a little bit of gap with less than now 21 minutes or so to go before we expect to see these guys at the finish line. So a lot of things can happen. A lot of things do happen off screen, Johnny, and we saw that gap, like you said, in a mile's time cut in half basically from about 14 seconds down to just over 6 seconds. So looking at it from that perspective, this next few miles, this next 6-8 miles of racing on this race course are going to be really exciting from a fan's standpoint. Well, with that, we see 2 hours and 42 minutes now into this race. As we said, Josh Strang leading Stu Baylor, Johnny Gerard running 3rd overall, Lyndon Snodgrass and Jordan Ashburn rounding out the top 5. It's not over till it's over. Stick around. GNCC Live continues after this.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. The all-new from the ground up 2019 Yamaha YZ250F is available at LoJack Cycle Sales, alongside the all-new YZ65 and YZ85, and refined YZ450F. So stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
Hi, my name is Andrea Lieb, the director of On Track School. How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
Yeah, guys, we're Chris Borch here. I've been an AMSOIL rider for the past, probably 5-6 years. Their product's been awesome for me. From the motor oil, I use the ATV UTV 1040. Motor's been holding up flawless. And then also you got their aerosol can stuff, the mud stuff, the brake clean, the carb clean. Just all their products in general that I've run has been an awesome help towards my program and my success.
Well, big part of the GNCC Racing Nation is obviously amateur riders, as there's just a small percentage of pros out there. And with that being said, we like to take an opportunity to spotlight some of our top competitors on the race day. When we have the opportunities, we take a look at our Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com leaderboard. Ty Eadley leading the 4-stroke B lights class with Levi Ward, Levi Self, Garrett Mundy, and Anthony Blackburn rounding out the top 5 in that highly competitive 30-plus class. Brandon Johnson is the 30-plus leader. Andrew Lowell, Josh Koschak, also Bradley Roberts and David Ravinsky rounding out the top 5 in that one. A lot of new names in the vet classes here in the 2021 season. As we look to our next class, the Senior B 40-plus class, this is one of the classes you were talking about, Johnny. William Hollenbach winning the first 3 rounds. Scott Dallin, though, out front in this one now with Felipe Branger in 3rd, Steve Young in 4th, and Brent Maynard rounding out the top 5. Our XC1 Pro class, you can see breaking down like this class-wise: Strang, Baylor, Ashburn, Kelly, and Grant Baylor 5th place, but he has dropped back from what I understand to a 8th place overall position right now. Toth and the boys back there still battling to try to get into the top 5 in the class. Jonathan Gerard, Lyndon Snodgrass, Craig DeLong, Liam Draper, and Cody Barnes are top 5 in the XC2. However, Gerard and Snodgrass running 3 and 4 overall in the run here today. As we take a look at next, the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class. Jonathan Johnson going for his 4th win consecutive here on his new Magnum 1 Motorsports ride. Chase Colville, who got another hole shot today, running in the 2nd place position. Zach Hayes, Ben Parsons, and Jake Froman all rounding out the top 5 in this growing class. Will Seibenpiper leading the Open A class. Chase Hayes in 2nd. Tanner Whipple out of the Midwest running in the number 3 spot with Jake Green, and Zachary Nash rounding out the top 5 in a very highly competitive Open A class here in the 2021 season. JoJo Cunningham, speaking of competition, here's another one. Alex Luger in the 2nd place position of that class. Tristan Landrum back in the number 3 spot with Tanner Collins in 4th. And Dakota DeVore rounding out the top 5 of this 258 class. Zachary Davidson, who got the whole shot, if memory serves me correct, back in that number 6 position. There's a lot of big names you see in that top 10, but not in that top 5. That's how stiff the competition is. Sean Myers Jr. leading the 158 class with Randall Irvin in 2nd. Lucas Van de Benito in the number 3 spot. Nathan Delaney in 4th, and Alex Metz rounding out your top 5. Mitchell Owenby, Grant Davis, Tyler Palmer are top 3 in the 4-stroke A lights class. It is Travis Renaud who got the whole shot in this class in 4th, and Joshua Guffey rounding out the top 5 in the 4-stroke A lights class. And that is your amateur rundown here from the FMF Camp Coker Bullet GNCC. As we said, probably about 95% of the participants in the Grand National Cross Country race are just exactly that, amateur racers. And a very unique form of racing, Johnny and Mikey, when you look at GNCC in itself, as it puts professional riders and amateur riders on the track at the same time in the same competition. And theoretically, when you look at the big picture, an amateur rider could win the overall and beat the pro with time adjustments. I think there's such cool things about the uniqueness of this form of racing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if you're an enthusiast and you're at home and you see that GNCC's coming to a town near you and you want to go out and test your skills against the best in the world, you can come out. You can race not only on the same track, but depending on which class you choose to race, you may be racing on the same track at the same time, and potentially getting lapped by those guys. Or like you said, if you're a if you're a savant and you've just started racing and you're the greatest thing to ever touch a dirt bike or a four-wheeler, you could come out and you could win an overall and leave here with a contract to get paid to race four-wheelers or dirt bikes. Crazier things have happened.
I mean, it does sound off the wall, and I know it's a little far-fetched, but you're absolutely right. Crazier things have happened.
Going back in the beginnings of GNCC and the 100-miler series, that actually would happen sometimes. Not winning necessarily, but riders that were completely unknown would come out and do very, very well, and maybe not leave with a paid contract, but leave with people talking to them about support and saying, hey, do you want to come do some more of these races? So it's very possible, it's very plausible, and a rider that in present day that kind of stands out in my mind is Johnny Gerard. Was a very well-known rider in the New England states, ran that J-Day series and some other regional stuff up that way, but had never raced a GNCC, at least to my knowledge. Maybe he had, but came out and raced XC1 against the likes of, at the time, Charlie Mullins and Caleb Russell, who were absolutely dominating, battling over championships. Came out and hung with those guys, banged bars with them, and showed them the fast way around Unadilla for about the first hour of that race, and then realized that he raced J-Days, which are 45-minute to an hour sprint, and these guys were pacing themselves for 3 hours and fell back. I think he still finished pretty respectable, and now here we are, fast forward 6 years or so, and he's a contender for today, a podium.
And if you want to hear that story, you can go on to 10 Seconds Cast, my 10seconds.cool, and you can check it out. You can also go on to 10 Seconds YouTube channel. Got a really good interview with him and tells that whole story, Johnny.
Guys, we got a new leader.
What?
Stu Baylor on screen leading the way. Josh Strang in second. Talk about things heating up. Things are heating up for the win in the battle for the win right now. There we see, Josh Strang. For a minute I thought he was stopping the way he was kind of braking there, but he was just trying to hit the right rut. But Stu Baylor now leading the way. Josh Strang in second. And folks, we told you to pop that popcorn and get your favorite beverage ready. Well, we hope you did, because you're not going to want to leave your chairs for about the next 12 to 15 minutes here, because this is going to be a battle royale for the next 6 miles.
And real quick, if you are unfamiliar with the way the GNCC works, every line that starts off, the clock is basically zero. There's about 1 minute in between each start, but the timing and scoring zeros everyone's time out. So theoretically, if you're faster than the guy 10 rows ahead of you, you will beat him in the overall. And that's how, when we say that a person from literally nowhere in the back of the pack could win it overall, and that's how these guys from the second row are running top 3 overall and pushing sometimes even for an overall win. Just to clear that up if you happen to not understand that.
And it has happened on the ATV side that we've had XC2 riders win overalls. It has not yet happened on the bike side. Been very close a number of times, but the XC1 guys have always been able to pull it out on the XC2 side of things. On ATVs, Walker Fowler did it twice. Brian Wolf did it twice, I believe, going back many years ago. So it has been done. It is doable. Johnny Gerard's got a big chunk of time to make up. It would be over, just looking rough numbers, it would be over 2 minutes that he would need to make up, I believe. If you look at the elapsed time.
2.5 minutes, exactly.
He would need to make up 2.5 minutes in this last lap. Not out of the question, but it would take a setback for Stu and Josh Strang for sure.
Well, I tell you, look at the dirt's starting to darken up, obviously, I think, from the moisture and stuff that is falling, but notice the rollers. These as the day wears on, this track is just, there's more and more rollers, and that right there is a real workout for a lot of these riders. Johnny and Mikey, you may have noticed it too down there this morning, but I saw guys coming off the racetrack. It looked like, I remember times when we made like snowshoe, some of the toughest races, we would say this is going to be a tough race this year. When guys would come and they'd just make one lap and they'd be just totally tortured after the race, and I made one lap, and that's basically what I was looking at in the eyes. I mean, obviously most of those guys made more than one lap, but that racetrack appeared to have taken everything physically out of most everybody that came off that track. I seen guys sitting there with their head on their handlebars, crossed in, just plumb worn out, completely zapped of all energy. And it wasn't just one or two. There were a number of them like that.
The sure sign to me at GNCCs is when the 2-lap card or the white flag comes out, and you get some guys that come in to see that 2-lap card or that white flag, and they shrug, or the head goes down, and then they're like, oh my God, I got to do 2 more laps. You got to be kidding me.
2 things on that point, Mikey. I'll be honest with you. Ricky Towery, our GNCC official flagman, when he was holding a 2-lap card yesterday, when I came through after 3 laps complete, I literally just looked at him, locked eyes and shook my head no. Like, this is not okay. And it wasn't just me. I'm glad to know that it wasn't just me, because I know, I've been training pretty hard. I've been riding a lot. And it wasn't a matter of fact of like, this isn't fair. It was just I was expecting that white flag, thinking that we just missed the 2-lap car. Jordan Ashburn on screen, 3rd place in that XC1. Unfortunately for him, that rider behind him in his proverbial draft is the 969 of Johnny Gerard, leading the way in that XC2 Pro Lights class, and he has Jordan eclipsed by all but a bike length of whatever the difference was. As you pointed out, Rodney, roughly a minute that he has to play with there.
Johnny looking for the line right now to pass.
It appears you see him looking back over his shoulder. He wants to know where is that number 178 of Lyndon Snodgrass, because he is mostly concerned about grabbing the win in that XC2 Pro Lights class. Just be a little icing on the cake for him if he can, and that is Snodgrass, so not much room to play with. They're going into a long, tight section. That could literally come down to one lapper, and he could be right up back in there battling with the 969 of Gerard.
One thing to go back and note on the roughness of this track, I saw some hands of the riders that got off the track yesterday. Hunter Hart's hands looked worse after yesterday's race than it did in Florida or Georgia or any of the other races that we've seen him at.
And to finish that thought, when I looked at Ricky and shook my head no, I actually fueled that lap and I came in and I verbalized this. It was a tough day for me. I got stuck early and it was a challenge to keep coming up through the pack and passing guys, and it was a hard track to pass on. And I literally said in the pit stop to Tyler and Becca, I said, I don't think I can do 2 more laps. And it wasn't that I wanted to quit. My hands were so raw that I was like, man, like that sand gets in your gloves, and my hands were raw, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm preparing myself, expecting to see a white flag when I don't see that. And I think I mentioned this earlier in the show, Tyler in his ever so calm, collected voice just said, well, there's 2 more laps. So yeah, you can do 2 more laps. Like basically like adjust, overcome, adapt. And that's what I had to do, and that's what a lot of these guys are doing out there, because this track is tough, it's rough. Pointing out, Mikey, you mentioned a lot of the guys said in Georgia that was the roughest track, rougher than Florida. I think almost everyone agrees that Florida, at least to the ATV side, was rougher than it's been in recent years. And I think there's something to attest to this. We don't normally see the kind of turnouts that we're seeing at these early rounds. Like, yes, we have these massive turnouts at our New York rounds when we go there, or Indiana. We have these huge turnouts. We're seeing 2,000 plus riders in South Carolina for round 1. We're seeing 2,000 plus riders here. We're seeing 1,600 riders in Florida. That's unheard of. Those are astronomical numbers. So if you have questions about the health of GNCC as a series,
over 1,800 today.
Oh my goodness, it's wild. So these tracks are just getting absolutely beat, and it's really making the riders adapt. Suspension setups are changing. Rider fitness is having to increase even more. The tracks are getting rougher. It's a great problem to have. But it is, I won't even say it's a problem. It's a great situation to have, but it's something that everyone's having to adapt to, because so many riders are just roughening these tracks up.
Exactly, and not only the riders, the track crew is having to adapt to it as well, because that's more riders, more manpower that we need on the track, more track maintenance and reconstruction, as the guys were out till late hours last night, dozing and fixing as much of the racetrack for today's race as they possibly could. So I mean, yeah, it goes hand in hand all the way around. I can imagine that if this trend continues, there'll probably have to be a midnight crew that comes in for GNCC.
And Kerry Joe may come in here and smack me for saying this, but I don't think GNCC is far away from having to go to a 3-day format. Right. We're going to have to race on Fridays, because so many people want to be a part of this, that we're jam-packed Saturday, we're jam-packed Sunday. We have EMTB racing, we have EPW racing, we have micro class. There was, correct me if I'm wrong, 200 youth riders this morning on youth bike.
140 ATVs.
140 youth ATVs. I can remember when it was like there was 50, not all that long ago, there was 50 youth ATV today, and there was 75 youth bikes. Folks, the future of GNCC, the future of off-road racing is not only bright, you can't even look at it without sunglasses on. That's how bright it is. There's just these young kids are coming up everywhere. The parents are behind it. They're enthused about it. It gives them a wholesome opportunity to come spend a weekend with the family, and it's just beyond awesome to see.
Beating a dead horse, to our leaders on screen, to knock on wood, to let the manufacturers out there know that are listening to that conversation. Hey, Suzuki, do you hear us? Suzuki, do you hear us? ATV manufacturer for sport quads, do you hear us?
It's a shame, but that nobody's caught on to the ATV thing. It's growing, and the sport quads are supposedly not. But here we see Rodney, take it over, because this is a battle.
This is a battle as we work our way through this one, guys. It is Stu Baylor has regained the lead, as we pointed out earlier in this lap just a few miles ago, over Josh Strang. It says Strang if you look at the results, but we know physically right now Baylor is out front of this one, and it's down to the basic who wants it most, as Johnny pointed out there just a few moments ago. And coming into this one, picking our favorites, or who we thought might come away with wins today. Obviously, it came down to heart and desire, and both the riders that are out front, for me, in my eyes, are the ones that probably have the most heart and desire coming into the season, coming into this particular round of racing as well. And they have proven it here, as they are now well over nearly 3 minutes ahead of the rest of the field.
3 minutes ahead of the rest of the field, but I have one burning question that I hope Mikey can get us answer for in his post-race interview. Regardless of how this one pans out, whether Josh Strang is able to get back around Stu Baylor, if Stu Baylor can hold this one to the finish, when we last saw them before that last camera shot, Josh seemed to have things somewhat well in hand, and Stu was able to make the pass and just popped out in the lead then. The question is, how did that all go down? We always talk about how many passes happen out there that we don't get to see or know about, and this is one of those ones that I believe is going to beg the burning question. What happened in that one wood section that Josh Strang went in with about a 6-7 second advantage and came out at a deficit of just a few bike lengths, but still came out at a deficit to Stu Baylor? And that we'll see here. We're getting out of the nitty-gritty. That could be the pass for the race win.
Well, I don't know if you're watching, but man, zigzagging through these trees, it is like the Stu is liquid. There's no doubt about it. He is rolling through here, and the length that we see between first and second, the distance is really starting to open up quite a bit. We saw that quite a bit closer whenever we saw those guys physically on the racetrack.
Now they're still pretty close there. I don't know what we were seeing on screen there, but all of a sudden Josh Strang just popped back out of nowhere.
Maybe he was just hidden in that sea of green.
Yeah, there he is. So I think we were just at that gap where the trees were just in the way, because he is still very much. But I can tell you, Rodney, I know where they're at on the track right now. And folks, gather at the finish line, because they are coming your way, and fast. We are less than a few moments away from seeing these guys pop out in the final section of racetrack. Couple chicanes and a finish line. We're literally less than minutes away.
I mean, this is one of those types of races, Johnny, where we could see one rider trying to go in under another rider. Riders getting together coming into the finish, because both these riders want it so badly. Not that either rider is trying to do the other rider wrong, but that's just how hungry and how much both of these riders want to win today as we wind our way through these wet woods of South Carolina.
He's on his rear wheel, Rodney, and I'll tell you what, there's a split line coming up here where they have the option to either make a left and go around a mud hole or bulldog it through the center, and the question is, which is going to come out to be faster? That is basically where they should be coming to now. We got a little bit left. Actually, okay, yep, sorry, they still have a little bit more there. I was thinking they were a little bit further in than they actually are. So they've still got to come through that Monster Energy up-down hill section. We didn't see, because there's the checkpoint.
Yep,
okay, yeah.
Checkpoint.
So they've still got a couple miles of racetrack left.
Wow, I tell you, this is really getting super exciting as we get ground level shot here at the 8-mile marker now, as these riders are making their way in. Baylor's still there, and every time it looks like he's going to start to stretch it out, Josh Strang is able to reel him right back in here at the FMF Power Point. They make their way up the hill, wind their way back down the hill, and again, you know, these wood sections look as rough and tough as those open field sections with the moguls and stuff that are developing. Add to that the ruts that are developing and the roots that are starting to shine out there. This course is becoming quite a bit of an obstacle in and of itself, and quite a bit of a challenge, which is certainly not only a challenge, but it takes even more of that energy out of these riders, and they have to dig that much deeper, Johnny.
Josh Strang has now pulled right up to the rear wheel of Stu Baylor, but this is it, folks. This is the last drag race down to a right-hand turn, and then they have 2 chicanes coming to the finish. This is it. He is on the rear wheel. Rodney, take it from here.
Well, here we go. A hard right-hand turn here as we make our way into the final wood sections one last time. Stu Baylor out front looking for his 2nd win in a row here in the 2021 season and try to grab some sort of grasp on this championship today. Into the final turns, hands in the air from the fans as Stu Baylor takes the win at the Camp Coker Bullet GNCC.
Oh, look at that. He looped the bike out crossing the finish line. Josh Strang is going to stop there, and he says, I'm going to go ahead and cross the line. You might have got the win, but I'm going to check in first.
Well, electronically, when they cross that finish line loop, that's where they're scored electronically. And, of course, I know that our backup scores are watching over that way as well, so there won't be any confusion in that. But, wow, what a race for Josh Strang. You got to give it up to him as he really put together a great race. And digging deep once again, Stu Baylor, same thing. These guys, I tell you, if this is an indication of what this is going to come down to, in 5 points at a time is what it's going to take Stu Baylor to have to put himself in a position to win a championship. It's going to be a long road to hoe for the 514 because battles like that, man, I mean, when you come down to it like this, to the wire like that, it's a 50-50 shot between these guys because they both want it so badly.
And hats off to Josh Strang. I mean, even our producer Adam Gordon piping in and saying, hey, the smart thing to do for Strang is just to let Stu have it. You know, points-wise, he's in a good position. Josh Strang did not let Stu Baylor have that. He fought him tooth and nail to the final turns. Josh Strang is hungry. He wants a win, and I believe we'll have to wait and see with the points. Well, I think he wouldn't have quite done enough to take the points lead because Ben Kelly, depending on where he comes in, Strang had a rough go at that last one. But we haven't done all the math yet. It could be close. He's definitely closed the gap with his 2nd place finish today, and closed the gap on the points lead is that man right there. 30 points at a time. He's trying to grind it back. 5 bonus points for a win. Stu Baylor has made 10 bonus points in the last 2 rounds. Slowly but surely trying to grind his way to get back in the hunt for this 2021 GNCC overall championship.
Well, 13-point difference separating Ben Kelly and Josh Strang. So, like you said, not unless something happens back there for Ben Kelly, not probably going to see that happen. But this guy right here, man, done everything that he could do, everything that he has to do. This is the kind of things that he has to do, and he's ready. Obviously, he proved that. Stu Baylor is ready. Why? Because he took the win. Let's head on down.
Thanks, Rodney. Down here with Stu Baylor. Stu taking the win here today in epic fashion.
Yeah, that was, man, that was intense. I could tell that last lap, both Strang and I, our motors were down on power. You could just hear it in the motors. You could hear it in the bike. And there was times where we get in the deep stuff, and you know you got to give it hell. And it's like you know your bike could possibly blow up in these conditions. So it was good. Our bikes held together and made for a hell of a battle down to the finish. It was, man, I missed some marks. They're coming to the finish, and I could feel Strang behind me. He was so close, and he missed a couple marks that we had nailed all day long, and he probably could have made the pass stick right here before this road, and it sounded like he tried to get on the inside, and if he would have railed outside and picked up the line, I think it would have been a different story. But man, racing like this is incredible. You know, I'm just waiting for this guy to start getting old.
There you start getting old. Stu Baylor, talk to us, man. Where's your head at now? 2 wins in a row, starting to click them off like you need to do.
You know, my head's where looking towards the championship. It's where we need to be. Not sure where Ben finished. I looked back a few times. Looked like he was around 4th or 5th. So that's where we need to be. Not sure about Grant. I think he was back in that position as well. So you know, today was a good day for points. Like I said, not sure. I didn't get pit boards on where everybody was, so I didn't get to do too much math in my head. But I know I came in 34 points down, and I think we gained at least 10 or 12 today. So we're starting with the right foot.
The X man's got the X out. Rodney, we'll take it back to you. Your winner here today, Stu Baylor.
Very interesting doing the math. And, you know, how many people ride and do math in their head? How many people can concentrate on 2 things? And, you know, I guess that might be the incentive that Stu Baylor looks forward to when he's out on the trail as well.
Well, you know, I've heard people say that you have to focus on the task at hand, but at the same time you can't overanalyze things. And maybe that's what Stu does to combat, you know, overthinking things. Is he kind of takes his mind to a place where he's doing the math in his head and figuring out the championship struggle. And he's right. He was 34 points behind coming into the race today, and we know he earned 30 points. He was behind Josh Strang. He was actually only 29 points back. So when you do the math there, all right, 37 to 58. Sorry, only 19 or wait, 21. Wow, math skills are struggling. 21 points behind, and so he made up 5 on Josh Strang. So he's 16 points behind Josh Strang right now, and we'll have to wait and see where Ben Kelly finishes. But he's absolutely right. He made up a chunk of points today.
Jordan Ashburn, by the way, taking 3rd in class but gets 4th overall. Johnny Gerard will take 3rd in the overall as the XC2 250 Pro rider checks in. Lyndon Snodgrass now checking in at 4th overall, dropping Jordan Ashburn to the 5th place overall position. We hear great conversation going on down by the tree where Josh Strang is hanging out. Our 2nd place finisher, Mikey Waynes. Let's find out how things went from his perspective.
Thanks, Rodney. Yeah, down here with Josh Strang, man. Josh, popping a squat. This race gave you everything you wanted and more, man. Got to feel pretty good, though, coming away with the 2nd. Know you wanted that win, though.
Yeah, I was so close. So, actually pretty bummed about it. I felt fairly good, and then just the last lap, Stu just put the hammer down, man. I don't think either of us had any left. Well, I didn't have much left, so I was just trying to hang on and see if he would make a mistake there at the end. But got a good start. I think I got the whole shot, so man, had a good whole race, and then it was getting hot. I think, again, both Stu and I it was hot there early, and then luckily the rain came down and cooled everything off a little. So, man, tough day. This place is, I really wish the laps were a little longer. I'm not sure how many we did, but we did a lot today. So it felt like a long race. But other than that, man, it's good to get back up on the box after the last race with the little incident. But, you know, it's good to get over the 2nd.
There you go. Congratulations. Make some noise. 2nd place finisher here today, Josh Strang.
Well, I tell you, man.
Hey, guys, send me a couple double A's.
All right. So we'll get those down to you as quick as we can, Mikey. But wow, bud, you know, yeah, coming into this one, I'd wondered I mean, we talked about it before the race, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Johnny, but I was right, man. On this one today. Oftentimes I'm not, but I just had a feeling about this one. I woke up today, Johnny, and I'm not going to lie, I got goosebumps as I got to head into the day. I got butterflies in my belly this morning just before I clicked the mic on and screamed my traditional good morning GNCC Racing Nation at 7 a.m. It's not that I don't get nervous very often, because there's always an edge of nervousness whenever it comes to a GNCC race day, but there was something special about today. And I'll tell you, it was a pivotal point for a lot of different riders, Stu Baylor being one of those, but Jonathan Gerard also, I believe, is one of those riders that had a lot of great things happening for him today, able to win the XC2 250 Pro class as well, keep himself consistently in contention for a top 3 overall position, and finishing that way here today. Let's head on down to our podium, where our top 3 and 3rd place in the XC1 Pro class. We check in with Mikey Waynes and Jordan Ashburn.
Thanks, Rodney. Yeah, down here, Jordan, solid day, man. Top 3 in the XC1.
Yeah, you know, it was a good day. I think I was 3rd off the start, and I think Ben passed me early on, and I rode 4th for a while. Kind of rode behind him, and you know, just tried to ride my own race. The track was really brutal, and hitting your lines every lap was hard, especially when we kind of got into lappers. And yeah, you know, I just rode my race, and here we are.
Big congratulations to you today, Jordan. Feel like you're picking up some momentum as we're getting here into the thick of the season?
Yeah, you know, it was a new team, a new year, and everybody's working great together, and the bike's really good. And man, I just want to keep putting it on the podium. Having a lot of fun right now.
Jordan Ashburn having fun. That's the difference maker. We'll take it back to you, Rodney.
All righty, and I can tell you, man, the Magnum One Lubricants team over there doing a great time and having a great successes on the youth side of things, here in the XC1 side of things as well. So Magnum One Motorsports, congratulations to you on a stellar weekend here at Camp Cokers. We take a look at a Rocky Mountain ATV MC leaderboard and top 10 results here. Stu Baylor, Josh Strang, Johnny Gerard will take 3rd overall, winning that XC2 250 Pro class. Lyndon Snodgrass will take 2nd place in the class, 4th place overall. Jordan Ashburn 3rd in the XC1 Pro class. He will get credit for 5th overall. Ben Kelly finishing 6th overall, and that would be 4th in the XC1 Pro class. Grant Baylor takes top 5 in XC1, 7th overall. And it's Craig DeLong who will be your 3rd place finisher in XC2. He's 8th overall. Josh Toth from the XC1 Pro class will be 9th, and Liam Draper from the XC2 250 Pro class will round out the top 10. So a good mixture of XC1 and XC2 in this one, Johnny. And taking a look at some of these championship points, it's pretty interesting, man. A lot of changes, it looks like.
Yeah, we've had some shakeups here in our top points after this race. We've done some quick math based on the finishes. Again, all of our finishes at this point unofficial, but assuming the results stand the way they do on screen, which we believe they should, Ben Kelly will retain your points leader with his 7th place finish, or 6th place overall today. He would have 86 points, still the championship points leader. But the big jump on the day, Josh Strang with 83 points will be only 3 points in the back. He'll jump over Grant Baylor for that 2nd place spot. 2nd place will still be, or 3rd place then will be Grant Baylor with 80 points. And the big mover on the day, obviously, Stu Baylor going from 37 points to 67. We don't know exactly where that will have him, but still, from 86 points, your Ben Kelly is your leader, so he will go from, I believe he said he was 34 points down coming into today, and he will now be only less than 20 down, so he'll be 19 points down coming into the day today. So that's a big points gap that he was able to make up in just one day, moving himself likely up into the top 5 in overall points after having a DNF and a mechanical issue, finishing 14th at round 2. So Stu Baylor on the move, pushing himself up in or towards the top 5 in points, and only 19 points out of a championship points lead.
Well, we are left with wanting more with a finish like this one today. A great race weekend here at Camp Coker and the Moree Sportsman's Preserve. Our next round of racing will be taking place once again right here in the great state of South Carolina, back at the Big Buck property. We'll be at the Tiger Run GNCC. And until then, on behalf of Mikey Waynes, Johnny Gallagher, and all of us here at RacerTV.com, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Have a great day, everybody.